All right, we're live. Hey, everybody, how's it going?
Hi.
Was that Dross?
It's good.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, and everybody that is watching this after the fact or watching right now. This is the weekly Alaboom for Tax Day, April 15th, 2015. Woo! Taxes. Oh man, I forgot to post my picture of the pain monster from Futurama. I got to do that. Does everyone remember that episode of Futurama?
Oh, I don't know if that's a specific one.
No, it's like I don't know what it was. It was like a weird thing where they said something like remember to pay your taxes or something like that. And for those of you who don't want to, it was Richard M. Nixon. And for those of you who don't want to pay your taxes, remember you can choose to spend the weekend with the pain monster. And then they showed this like monster with all these spikes and evil look on his face, and he goes, "See you April 15th, everyone." And so
I guess that's incentivization.
There you go. But yeah, it looks like we got some of the normal crew along here. We got well, no, apparently no, we just lost Anthony, or maybe he turned off his camera. But we got, as always, the loquacious Barry.
Hey.
Mr. Excitement, thank you very much. We have our professional groupie, Keith, who's not responding. That's good. And then, and we got our buddy from across the ocean. I think he's in Sarajevo. Is that correct? Or Katka? I keep forgetting where you're from there, Robin. But yeah. Do you know if Rhiannon's joining us tonight or not? Or what? Your partner in crime?
Idea.
No idea?
No.
You don't really keep track of it anymore? Okay.
I woke up like 10 minutes ago, so...
That's why you're wearing the hat? Because your hair is all messed up, or what?
What? What hair?
I don't know. What does your hat say? Is it some weird like football league thing or what?
It is indeed, sir. It is indeed. Liverpool Football Club.
Oh, okay. So.
So that's the soccer segment out of the way. Yeah?
This is the football that you play with your feet, not the.
Yeah.
No, he's talking about soccer.
So here's a question for you guys: how is it that baseball isn't called cricket?
Because we throw the ball.
There's bases. Are there bases in cricket? I don't know.
Well, there's
cricket
two ends of the pitch.
Cricket bounces the ball off the ground, right?
There's a bat. There's a ball.
Which one's the cricket? The bat or the ball?
There's as much foot and ball. Yeah. Well, let's not go there, huh?
I think it's shaped like a foot. I mean, this is all very mysterious to us Americans too.
You kick off to start. That's all you need to know.
Is that what it is? There's one kick, and so it's football?
Most of the points in football are scored by kicking. The highest scorers in history are kickers.
Wouldn't it be better if the games were named after the place they originated? So, like,
we're actually getting rid of they're talking about getting rid of the kickoffs though now. So we'll only like punt it on fourth down, and then
it'll just be ball.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's worth like $1 billion. So no matter what it is, people will watch it. It's just the way it works. So, but anyway, as I was going to get to, we do have a special guest tonight, and I think we might have some more later. But right now we got Brad, Brad Talton, Jr. apparently, from Level 99 Games, and
thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. I mean, just I think he's got a game to pimp, but I'm pretty sure he's like one of those awesome indie publishers that's got quite a following for his.
I just like to talk about games. I'll try not to put you to sleep.
Oh no! You definitely you okay? Well, let's talk about like so to speak the elephant in the room. You have Millennium Blades. Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Thank you for joining us. You have Millennium Blades the Kickstarter goes live on Friday. Now this game, I don't want to be Mr. Interviewer here, but for some reason I thought I heard about this game like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Or
well, we've been working on it for 2 years. It's been a long road, and I mean it took me like 20 versions to get it right because there's so many things going on in the game, and to get it all kind of into one package has been a huge challenge. But I finally got it to the point where I can like put it on the table and say this is the thing, this is the cool thing that we've been working on, and it's turning out pretty well. So we're still tweaking a few little things for playability, mostly. The number of cards in your hand or the number of cards that come out at once, just for to control the pacing of information and stuff. That kind of user testing that we do for games. But yeah, I put the box together. I can show you the first look at the box. Yeah.
Ooh.
It's yeah. You can compare it to the size of my head. It's pretty big. Not my head. Not my head. The box.
No, I was just like, where's Rhiannon? When she should be like on her third bottle of wine and jumping on that. Totally, but that's too bad.
But yeah, so
go ahead.
That's something we're doing on Friday. So I'm pretty excited about it. I can tell you all that. I think we. But you've got a copy. Have you gotten to the table yet?
Yeah, I've played it. I played it this past weekend with some buddies. Worst game ever. Nobody back it.
What?
No. No, it's a lot of fun.
Look at this face.
No, the game's a lot of fun. I'm not. It's weird. It's like this is like the third kind of whole like you say. Well, you say it's like a CCG that isn't, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So and so like usually I'm not a big fan of that type of game. I've been like totally poo-pooing on deck builders and stuff like that lately, but I've been playing a few lately that actually I've been interested in. So it's odd that I've been actually enjoying the card. Maybe I took enough of a break away from my Dominion and Thunderstone and all the other junk, and then I actually found something I liked in the last couple months or so. So there you go.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess to trying to get away from the CCG and that style of gameplay, it's really more of an economic game, or I call it like a commodity trading game in some sense, because you're trading these trading cards that all have different values and effects and stuff. But I guess the full review will come out later on, so we can all look forward to that, and I won't grill you too much about it.
No, that's fine. Grill away. But yeah. Go ahead. You got questions.
Yeah, just to interview a little bit more. The idea of the game is that it's not a CCG. So everything is in the one box. There's no add-ons or anything like that.
Yep.
But within the game, you're playing in the world of a CCG tournament kind of thing.
So you're playing as the players that play a CCG. Which means you do all the stuff, like you buy blind packs of cards, you sell your cards on the aftermarket, you can buy other players' cards, you can build collections, and eventually you'll have these tournaments, but they're very abbreviated, sort of a simulation of the tournament where you're just trying to race for ranking points against the other players. So it's a game that's sort of a simulation of the entire collectible card game experience, not just actually playing a game like you would get from an LCG. It's really its own complete box single session game that plays in 2 hours from start to finish.
What was your impetus to come up with the game? Were you just sitting around one day and didn't want to buy Magic cards anymore, or what?
Well, I think everybody does that pretty often, actually. But no, I was actually playing one of these. I don't know if you've seen some of these games on the App Store that are the little trading card games, and they're these awful Skinner box games where you just play this little mini game for 20 minutes, and then they give you a random card, and you get to open the pack and see what you got. And sometimes you get a really rare card, sometimes you get a really junk card. But I was doing that, and I was opening a pack, and I was like, this idea of opening these random packs is pretty fun. I should make a game that kind of captures the fun of one more card. What am I going to get? That sort of feeling to it. And so the whole game sort of grew out of that idea. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was drinking.
No. I mean,
it's neat to. It kind of it was one of those weird things where this last year I did a review of that game Essen, which was a game about buying games at Essen. So it's kind of weird how we're kind of. Are we finally running out of themes? Are we finally running out of ideas? Well, I guess as long as Euros can, trade, as long as Euros can trade goods in the Mediterranean, in some new mechanism, for we'll never run out of themes. But it is kind of neat. I mean, it's ingenious actually. I mean, not to like kiss your ass or anything like that, but it's a clever idea.
I think it's a lot of. I think it's a theme that was kind of like I was surprised nobody had done it yet. Actually, when I started getting into it, because there's so much good material in the game. In that genre, there's so many mechanics to make work. But it was a long climb to kind of get everything together in the right proportions so that it wasn't overwhelming. Just because there's so many things going on, you can make an entire game about just the aftermarket in a trading card game, and it would still be a really interesting game. And to try and get it all in, all those different aspects into one game has been a bit of a challenge. But you played it. Did you enjoy it? Did you have a good time? Would you play it again?
Well, I played like half of one turn and then I put it away. So. Just kidding, Brad.
You're killing me, Les. You're killing me. I'm gonna like.
No, the game's a lot of fun. I can't think of it. I'm not being honest. I can't think of a game that you've made that I haven't enjoyed, at least on some level. I mean, going all the way back to. Oh gosh, I can't even remember the name of it now.
The original BattleCon. You were the first reviewer to do to do a full review on it, and it was what made us successful to actually produce the game. I remember posting that graph, right? It's like here's our graph, and then I did Viking Reviews BattleCon. It was like, and we crossed our goal. So it was really, I feel like a lot of our success is thanks to you.
Yeah, how big his head's getting right there. Look how big his head's gotten. That's all we can say now.
So there you go. Oh, you know what? I've actually got the new edition sitting here on my desk. Like 3 years later, we reprinted it and we got a new edition. Let me grab this. Woof. Boy. Here we go. Yeah. So this came in and should be on a boat in a few days. The new edition of BattleCon. So it's all shiny and crisp and it's got 3 years of experience behind it now, as opposed to being my freshman effort. So
my copy's in the mail then, right?
Yeah, of course. First one off the pallet.
Yeah, there you go. Well, why isn't there an undead Viking character in it by now, though?
We had a reward tier for that, and instead of backing a reward tier, we decided to just tell everybody how great the game was. And
oh, okay.
That may have been the wrong move. I don't know.
No, that's okay.
So, Brad, is Sellsword set in the same universe as War of Indians and BattleCon?
I feel like Sellswords is just sort of a game. Like we use some of the same characters, but I don't think it's good to read too much into the story of Sellswords. It's a fun game that we used a couple characters for recognition, but it's not really a canon part of any big story or any big universe. Whereas like all of the BattleCon games and Argent and such, they all sort of develop the story. You see the characters, and there's like a timeline to it. And we're actually working on some role-playing game efforts and a video game effort that will kind of take you into this world and let you meet all the characters and do that sort of thing. So that's pretty exciting as well. But yeah, Sellswords doesn't have any real impact on these timelines and stuff. Congrats on Argent too. You're finally getting your copy, Robin.
Hopefully tomorrow.
Okay, I'm so glad that they finally made it. I was like, oh, we'll send it now, and then I called my distributor. I'm like, okay, go ahead and release the rest of the copies. And like 3 days later, they were in Europe, and I'm like, why are my copies not in Europe yet? How do distributors do this so quickly? Yeah. When it's taken me a month to do it. So, but I'm glad that everybody was getting their copy at last, and it makes me feel really good that we're finally fulfilling all our commitments.
I have to ask, when you made Argent, did you go into the boardroom when you were coming with the idea and say, does anybody have any idea for a game that would completely cover a table that's like 5 by 5 square? The game takes up so much real estate. It's insane. I mean, that's not a bad thing. It's just crazy how large it is.
It's good, and I was really impressed that we got it into that size of box. Because it's just the 12 by 12 square, but it really does come out and kind of devour your table. I think that people like that. I think that people like the spectacle of it and the grandeur of this thing that sort of just comes to life on your tabletop. The same reason we play Twilight Imperium and Arkham Horror and stuff. So I think that I kind of look forward to that element of it. I think it's a feature and not a bug, if you will.
No, I don't mind it. I mean, like I said, like the first time I ever took it out and unpacked the game or whatever, I was just like, all right, let's play this. And I was like, all right, just kind of scooch everything a little further off to the side or a little more further off to the side. And then all of a sudden you look, and we were actually playing it at a convention. And we actually had to go grab another table and drag it over because those convention tables are all like 3 feet wide and like 6 feet long, and so like we actually had to drag another one over and attach it, to get it to work, and things like that. So
yeah, we always have to play it on one of those miniature toppers at our local game store, the kind that they use for like 40K battles. You take it and you fit it on top of one of the regular folding tables, and it makes it 2 feet longer on each side. And so that's how we developed and played it every time we break it out. But yeah.
Did that ever, while you're developing a game that big, did it ever click that, hey, this might be an issue? Making a game?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I have friends. I mean, for me, like every Halloween we break out Arkham Horror and we set up with all the expansions and it takes up the entire table. And about 3 times a year we say, let's do Twilight Imperium, and we set aside the whole day and we set up a giant 7-player game, and it takes up 2 tables and an entire wall of our local game store where we set up all the planet cards in an array on the wall, and it's glorious and we love it. And I think that when you sit down to play a 6-player game of Argent, that's sort of the experience that you want. I mean, that's the experience it's designed to provide, is that total immersion and that kind of it's a game that's big enough to draw you in too. And that's what I really wanted with it. So I think that I consider that a success, not an issue.
Okay. All right. You were going for the epic feel. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, okay. Nobody else cares about your game anymore, so
yeah.
Subject, I guess.
It's a novelty-driven industry. We're on to the next thing now.
Yes. Well, Cult of the New, right? We just
exactly.
Do you think this is one of those things? When BattleCon, I mean, when that came out on Kickstarter, that was like 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago.
I think it was like 2011 that it came out, and it was delivered in I think it was 2012 that we delivered it, and so yeah, it was quite a while.
So I mean that was back when Kickstarter probably didn't have nearly the game footprint that it has now. I mean, it seems like on Kickstarter there's like a new. Do you think that this isn't a cut on your designs or anything like that, but I mean, in a way, like, are you glad you got in when you did? So you didn't have to kind of kick other people out of the way and crawl over the corpses of other failed campaigns, kind of thing.
I don't know. It's kind of a double-edged thing because there wasn't as much clutter on Kickstarter back then, but there also weren't as many people. And so, with the success of, your Exploding Kittens type games, the amount of people that are looking at Kickstarter has really exploded. I guess you see what I did there. But the truth of it is that there's just so many more people now that you probably have better odds of funding than you did way back then. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just straight proportional, and if you're going to succeed, you're going to succeed in spite of the odds, or with them, whichever case it is. So I don't know. I think what happened, and we ran it again recently with we ran the remastered edition, and that did like 10 times better than the original one. So I think that I don't know. It's really hard to say what the impact is. But I'm glad that we've had people who backed the original BattleCon projects all those 4 years ago, who have done every Level 99 Games project since, and I think that's why I'm glad that I did it back then, because we've had those friends who have kind of journeyed with us through the life of the company and through all these designs, and I think that's what I've really enjoyed about Kickstarter, is keeping in touch with those people through the projects we do.
Gotcha. One last question, and then we can talk about something else if somebody else has something else that they're thinking about talking about. I know Barry's chomping at the bit with his bevy of items, but what's your perspective like from when you did it back in 2011 to now with like a thing coming out here in just a day or so, and combined with like things that you were successful in like in the last like 18 months or whatever.
Well, I think that we just kind of understand what we're doing a lot better than we did back then. We know what we're creating. We know the process to create it. We know what people get excited about and how we can involve them to make the game better. And we know all this stuff and do all this stuff a lot better than we did back those years ago. So I think it's mainly just a matter of experience and kind of making things better through all the stuff that we've learned over these years.
Has Kickstarter, the company, changed at all, really? I mean, like as far as what they expect from the people, like giving their projects and how the system works?
Yeah, on the back end, there's a lot more oversight, and there's a lot, but also a lot more freedom. Like when you're starting an early, like your first or second project, there's a lot more hoops you have to jump through. But if you're doing your seventh project and the others have all been successful and have been delivered, then they let you pretty much do whatever you want, and they give you a lot of suggestions, and they'll have professionals to look over your project and to give you feedback on your project. But I think that it's the mission is the same, and the company is really the same, and they're really excited about the good work that they're doing, and I think it really is noble work too, bringing all of these creations to life. And I hope that
well, let's not break our arms like patting them on the back. They're also there are things that they definitely have done what they've had to do to I don't know, kind of cover their ass, if you will.
They make ends meet, yeah, and and they can't be responsible for everything.
Well, that's true, but I mean, and I understand it's when you throw your money down on something, you're saying, I might not get my stuff, but I mean, and like I would say, those things that fund, the vast majority of them send out their rewards like they're supposed to. But I mean, honestly, Kickstarter doesn't use Kickstarter like it was supposed to be in the beginning. It was supposed to be like, oh, this is my passion project, and maybe you'll help me get it off the ground, and then maybe I'll send you a T-shirt or something after I start my company or whatever. And now it's like people look at it as like a store, which I don't think was the idea to begin with in the first place. So
no, you do see quite a bit of that, and especially with the larger projects and more established companies, for anyway, or for something that we don't have any real way to improve. But I can see. I mean, there's really two sides to that, and I think that even if we're professionals and we know what we're doing, Kickstarter enables us to make something that we couldn't make otherwise. So I think it's certainly helping the industry as a whole, beyond just getting passion projects off the ground. It really is enabling us, smaller companies like us, to reach beyond what we would really be capable of. So anyway, Andreas just joined, so I'm gonna let you introduce him and stop rambling over here.
No, that's okay. We got plenty of time. So, but yes, I am actually very pleased that Andreas could join us. He's I think next door to Robin in Siberia, across the ocean. No, seriously, Andreas, thanks for joining us, buddy. I don't think we can hear you.
Oh yeah, I think the mic's off.
His mic isn't on. Well, he's searching for it. Well, we'll talk until you just. Andreas, I know you can hear us. Just interrupt. Yeah. Well, just here. Well, Andreas, just talk away as soon as you get it to work, my friend, and we'll go from there. But no, so I mean, I mean, do you think that? I mean, the only thing about I had one final question about your impression of Kickstarter. And I'm not asking you to call out anybody by name or anything like that, but as you say, you're kind of a smaller company and you don't have whatever it is, 30 grand or 40 grand or whatever to put towards publishing a game and then hoping it sells and to make your money back. So that's why you use Kickstarter. That's the whole point. What is your impression about established companies that have pockets and have money to their name that use Kickstarter as well?
I think that Kickstarter has kind of changed the way that we come to our fans to produce new things. And so I don't see much difference between a company like Queen going to Kickstarter and saying, "Hey, help us produce this project." When larger companies get involved in Kickstarter, if they do something that that they know is going to succeed, and they're bringing in people from the outside to the platform, they're really helping all of us smaller companies too, because all those people who weren't on the platform previously are coming in and making it enriching the the pool of people joining projects. So I think that like we said about Exploding Kittens, you don't really you can't really get upset about anything like that doing so well. It's really a boon for all of us. It's really helping the whole community. So I certainly don't think it's unethical or anything to come to Kickstarter even if you have the money. I just don't know that it's that it's the best move to support the distribution chain, if you will. So I guess that's the real question is how does it integrate into the bigger picture of the industry as a whole? And is it healthy for the industry as a whole if if publishers are doing all these direct sales through Kickstarter? For me, I'd say really no. Companies take a game like Ticket to Ride that sold, say, millions of copies. Retailers are more happy and distributors are more happy to buy a game that sold 1 million copies than they are to buy something that's only sold 300 or 200 copies in pre-sale. So I think that the more hype you can generate up front through a platform like Kickstarter, the better you're doing for the entire chain, the better you're helping everybody. The only thing that's unethical is to put your game up on Kickstarter and then only produce those 300 units and then never support it again.
Why do you think that's unethical?
Because it creates a situation where, I'm going to present 300, or I'm going to pre-sell 300 on my game. I'm going to hype it up real big. I'm going to sell it to stores. I'm going to make 1,000 of them. And then I'm going to sell it to stores, and then I'm just going to not do anything to help those stores move the game because I've already made all my money up front. So I've just got a bunch of dead products sitting on store shelves, and the stores have already taken on my risk because they pay up front when they buy a game. So for a publisher to create a game and to only sell it on Kickstarter, and then to not support the game through its life, that's what really hurts the distribution chain in the industry as a whole. Getting 1,000 people up front to buy your game that you're going to make 10,000 units of really actually helps retailers to sell it more because you've got enough of a runway to push the game forward and to support the game going forward and to keep advertising it even once it hits the market. So I guess I don't know if that's a different answer than you're usually hear.
Oh, that's all right. That's good. I'm watching Andreas try furiously to get his microphone.
Yeah, I think we're all covering for Andreas.
That's okay. That's okay. He'll get it working here eventually. If he was here, I know he'd be talking about his game on Kickstarter right now called Dreams of Dystopia, which is one of those those card games that I was talking about that I actually played that I actually really enjoyed. Okay. Yeah, so but I want to let him brag about it though. I don't want to talk for anybody else. And I don't know. Has anybody else played it? Or I'm guessing I'm the only one.
I've seen the ads. I've looked over the Kickstarter page. I have yet to play it though.
Anthony, did you get that thing that I sent to your mom? By the way.
Oh yeah, yes I did.
All right. Did you play it or do anything with it?
I did play it and I did talk to the gentleman who made it. It's a fun little game.
You gonna talk about it on your podcast or anything?
Yes, I am. But it's a fun little game. It's not what I was expecting, but I enjoyed it a lot.
Are you gonna just do vague?
This is very mysterious.
Yeah, he's all vague booking over here.
It's Norse Saga. It's on Kickstarter right now. You're basically building a small family tree to fulfill the Norse saga that you've been given.
I saw this one earlier today too. Oh.
Yeah, very clever little game. There's a lot of backstabbing going on once you realize that the game isn't as easy as you think it is. But it does play pretty quick and fairly easy to pick up. I might play with my son. He's 13, and after like 5 minutes, he's the one who figured out how backstabby the game was when he just kept ruining everything I try to do. But I like it a lot. It's a fun game.
So it's called Norse Saga, so it's got a Viking element to it.
Yeah, it's all one word, though, not 2 words.
Yeah,
so Norsaga.
Does that mean, Lance, you've been able to trace your Viking heritage through it?
You know, it's weird. Both my parents got divorced when I was young, but both my father and his wife and my mother and her husband have gone back to the old country, you know, because they're both very Norwegian. And my mother was able to track down a lot of her heritage, but it turns out that like back like a few generations, like it turns out I'm actually like about a 16th French, because like she had like French people that went to Norway and then they, you know, whatever, and propagated, if you will. My father is full-blooded Norwegian, and but so I was trying to figure out like his background and what he did, and like they can't find anything because, or they're having trouble finding it because of the fact that when he came, when his great grandfather came to America, he couldn't speak a word of English, and so when they asked him what his last name was, he couldn't answer. But all he knew how to say in English was, "I am Norwegian. I am from the town of Meister." And so then they just gave him the last name of Meister at that point, and so they changed his name at Ellis Island, and so we're trying to it's a mystery. I may never figure out who my Norwegian past is. I can only hope at some point they were splitting somebody's head open with an axe at some point and having a grand old time. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's fair. I mean, I've read a ton of you know, Viking background and everything like that, and I've read a lot of history books and you know, and if you ever actually like, I mean, you can say this about any culture and anybody's culture, but you're going to find
if you go back far enough, somebody killed somebody else with an axe.
Yeah,
no matter who you are.
But you know, Vikings were actually not the like. The savages people like they're portrayed as. You know, they didn't have horned helmets. They didn't. They mostly fought with spears. Almost nobody owned a sword because they were expensive. And but they fought mostly, and they didn't wear armor. They fought with shields and spears, and they had really, really good boats. And that was the boats were small enough, like good enough to go on an ocean and small enough to go on a river, and that's why they were as like they could basically get to places that nobody else could get to, and that's why they got that kind of a background, if you will. At least, I mean, the stuff that I've read as far as the history goes. There was actually, and I'm going to totally forget about the name, but if you Google like Viking bodyguards, Holy Roman Emperor, there was this group of Vikings that made it through the Mediterranean, and they were acting as pirates. And they were such a plague that the Holy Roman Emperor at the time actually, to appease them and to keep basically stop them from attacking and stealing and killing people, he appointed them his personal bodyguards, and then basically gave them a bunch of money. And then this group of Vikings basically became the personal retinue of the Holy Roman Emperor.
Huh.
Yeah,
that's quite a story.
Yeah,
sounds like an idea for a board game.
That sounds like an amazing idea for a board game, but you know, you know, as they say, those who can do, those who can't teach. So, I can't design a game. I always get frustrated about halfway through the idea process, and then so that's why smart people like you, Brad, and Andreas, who maybe Andreas, who can design games really well, but apparently he's having trouble with his microphone though.
Andreas, try interpretive dance. See if that works.
I actually have. I asked.
Look, wait, he's doing it.
It's a lion with a beard and eyebrows. These eyebrows. Is that the symbol? Did I get it right?
Yeah. Oh, there. He even answered my question. The Varyargs of Miklagard they were the bodyguards of the Holy Roman Emperor. So.
And that's interpretive dance for you.
There you go. See, this is good. We can just ask him questions in the chat, and then he can answer those, and we can help out. So, no. Does anybody else have anything going on? Played any games lately that are really amazing or good or anything like that? Really? Nothing?
Well,
I've played a few. I've played a few lately. I could tell you about.
Let's hold on. Barry, what have you played lately?
Spectre Ops yesterday. That was pretty interesting. It's I think it's one of the better hidden movement games that I've played. Other than that, not much. Yeah, a bunch of gateway games on International Tabletop Day. But
yeah, how did everybody's Tabletop Day go, by the way?
It went fairly decent. That game I played took longer than I was expecting it to, so it kind of sucked the wind out playing it early.
Do we really want to go there?
Phrasing.
But I played a Xenoshift Onslaught on Saturday, and it ended up taking us close to 4 hours to play the game.
Oh my gosh!
A lot longer than I was expecting. We managed to win, but it started off fairly quickly, and then it devolved into a lot of min-maxing to try to make sure you had the best optimal combo, and at that point's when I started to fade out. But I enjoyed the game, but it was too long. If the playtime doesn't come down in future plays, it's something that won't ever hit the table for me. I tried out Brewcrafters that day, which was pretty good. Little Boom Runaway, Die Brücke am Rio Douro, which is kind of a family game from a couple years back, where you've got a little. You actually play over the box itself. The box has a river set down in the box, and you have a little 3D bridge that crosses it with planks that go across the bridge, which have a sturdy side and a cracked side. And as you cross the bridge, the faster you go, you have chances to start cracking the boards and breaking the boards and dropping all your gold in the river. It's kind of the Indiana Jones rope bridge game. So it's a cool little game.
That sounds really cool. I hadn't heard of that one.
Neither had I.
Very cool.
We have a new gaming cafe that opened here in Albuquerque locally, and so they had their advance opening on Tabletop Day, so I got to go down and see this new board game, local board game library and coffee shop, and it was quite a cool experience. So I'm really excited. We finally have one of those in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I thought, only the big cities are ever going to get these kind of things. So, man, interesting games. I played a game called Scribes Arena that I finally got off Kickstarter. Have you guys seen or heard of this one?
No.
It's Wizard Battle Hangman. And you put down your word and you draw spell cards and you attack the opponent by guessing letters in their word. And when you can knock out all three of the words that they've chosen, then you defeat them and you win the duel. It's really clever, and I was quite impressed with it.
The last game, actually, I got my copy of King's Forge today. King's Forge, yes.
Forge Wars?
Forge Wars, thank you. Forge Wars. Gosh, it's like King's Forge Wars. I got my copy of Forge Wars today, actually. I'm looking forward to playing that. I've got my...
really good game.
Okay. Quit burying the lead. I have I have my personal little gaming convention that I host at my local game store twice a year, coming up this weekend. So I'm looking forward to playing that there, which, according to Robin, it's really good. So,
Hey, for once we get a game before you guys over there. So yeah, it was nice to be able to try something and brag about it for once.
Hey,
Andreas, you're with us.
Thanks for working.
I'm back.
Andreas, I can actually hear your voice.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, we hear.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Totally
Congratulations.
Yeah. So,
I actually made it with my studio microphone. And you can see.
I expect him to be introducing like the new band up on the stage or something.
No. Okay, you guys. I'm glad to be with you. And for those who don't know me, my name is Andreas Probst. I'm fairly young game designer, fairly young game designer from up Austria, in the heart of Europe, so to say, in the heart of dystopia as it is these days. And I actually recognize a few people here. Brad, and who's here with me too?
Hi.
Yeah, Lance, of course. Lance, you've got the longer beard than I have.
Well, it's called not shaving, and it just it always grows
right.
back.
So I don't want to interrupt your talk at all.
No.
We're waiting on you.
So.
We were waiting on you. We were because I want you to be able to talk about your past games, and also obviously you got a game right now on Kickstarter, and I want you to be able to give a chance to tell everybody about it. And I've got a review out for it, and lots of other people have reviews as well, I think. So go for it.
All right. So Dreams of Dystopia. I don't have my copy with me right now because I had to join in on such short notice. Lance wrote me, can you join in on the video chat or something like that? And some may recognize my older creations like Elemental Clash, and this is just one recent expansion pack. Nobody knows of it. It's very highly obscure. It got an app, even an app with 15K downloads and such. But let's talk about Dreams of Dystopia. This is a deck building game with a twist, it says, and I always I'm getting these messages on Kickstarter saying, man, that's got no twist at all. Star Realms has done it before with the life points reducing system. Okay, so but
look, they're saying that they don't think that the flipping of the cards isn't. I mean, I like that part of the game.
Yeah, they just don't read on or just don't understand the first paragraph of this very Kickstarter page, because it says
you should give us some context. You should give us some context, Andres, because
okay, sorry.
Tell us the background.
I'm not used to present my games like online with a few people from over the seas, so to say, and the context.
Well, Robin is like right next door. He's from Austria, I think. So.
Oh, really? I didn't realize.
No,
don't listen to him.
Just Andres. It's a running joke. Robin is British, but he's living in the Netherlands or something. Denmark.
Okay.
Because he grows drugs and so
okay. I've been there to Denmark.
But so the running joke is that I just put him in some random place in Europe every single time we get together.
Okay.
So like he lives next door to you. You didn't know that. That's fine. But,
okay. So the context.
Go ahead. Tell us why it's got the twist, because this is one of the big things I really liked about the game.
Yeah. It's got the twist because it does a thing I haven't seen done in another game before, at least not in a deck building game like Dominion or Thunderstone or stuff like that. Each and every card, you have to imagine, has two different sides. There's no card backs, uniform card backs. It has two different sides, each card. There's a divine side and a demonic side. and I probably should have prepared that and to show you like right on the video chat how it works. So
No, I'll go grab my copies. Hold on, I'll go grab my copy.
okay, so if you can follow me, each and every card has a demonic side and a divine side, and at the very beginning of the game, you choose your master. You choose your avatar in the game, so to say, and you decide upon the start of the game if you whether you be divine or demonic. Okay, and you can pick up your cards from your supply like you do in Dominion by buying them. It's called another way, but it doesn't matter. And you have to buy them at their demonic side if you're a demonic master, and at the divine side if you the divine master. And you can buy off faction off alignment cards at certain drawback of having to pay 2 more resources, so to say. So you can mix and match divine and demonic in this game, and you can either choose the divine path or the demonic path, or tread the perilous path of Twilight, as it says on the Kickstarter page, as somebody has opened it right now. Yeah.
So how do you win? What's the goal of the game?
that's the thing most people keep getting me for. It's like in Star Realms, they say. You reduce the opponent's life points to 0, but through means of direct attacks, through your minion cards, your which are your creatures that are fighting for you. If we are going with Magic the Gathering terms, it would be creatures. Creature versus creature combat. And by blocking and attacking, you will receive or deal out damage to your master. And your master has like life points from I think the topmost life points is 20 life points, and can go as low down as 13 or 14 or something like that, depending on your master's other abilities. And so that's how you win. You build your deck with pretty much standard, I admit to that, pretty much standard Dominion deck building mechanics. Okay, you have like 1 action, 1 buy, which ends your turn, by the way, 1 combat, and you have 1 heroic deed, which will increase your resource level by 1, your fame, as it is called.
Oh, okay.
And
so it's kind of a like a mana ramp type of system where you're getting more resources every time you go through your deck. You're accelerating the resource curve.
Exactly.
And so the game, naturally kind of escalates. That's really neat. I haven't seen another deck builder that has kind of that persistent resource to it.
Neither have I.
That's something that's really interesting.
So the reason I'm calling or we are calling the game a deck building game with a twist, obviously, is the fact that each card is double-sided, and you can twist them or reverse them mid-game. You can totally change your strategy because these 2 sides will have various varying abilities or contrary abilities.
Yeah, so with the things that are double-sided are not the cards that are in your deck, but they're the cards that are in your tableau in front of you attacking the opponent. Right. So you can still shuffle your deck and everything, and it's not, and
you
it's
can't
that give away what you can't.
You can.
How does that work?
You have to.
You have to forgive me. I haven't watched the gameplay video, so I'm learning it as we go here.
Okay. Yeah, sure, no problem. So the catch actually is you have to sleeve the cards as you go.
Oh, okay. So it includes the sleeves and everything in the box?
Yeah, sleeves are included. We wanted to have really nice Dreams of Dystopia sleeves with the proper custom back or something like that. You need opaque sleeves, of course. But that was unaffordable, of course, and so we will include just standard sleeves with no custom print motive on the backs, but that's just a cosmetic thing, I think.
Yeah, that was one of the things we wanted to do for Millennium Blades too. And sleeves are just so expensive to manufacture,
totally.
Unless you're doing, tens of thousands.
And we can't do that because we are. I and my partner Rob in the US. We are 2 guys, basically.
Yeah.
And that's
I mean,
it.
even level 99 can't do that kind of stuff at our size. So.
Okay,
Oh,
my
I don't
cat
think we're.
The
is
massive
coming
level
around.
99.
Yeah,
Yes,
we're
the,
not that big. But even
the cat
even at our
speaks to
size, we
me.
can't do sleeves.
The
Sorry.
cat! Where's my cat? Oh, my cat's
Mighty
nowhere to
cat.
be found now. Oh, poor son.
She thinks I'm talking to her. Sorry, don't mind her at all. Okay, so I
Andreas,
really,
let me break in here real quick if you don't mind.
yeah,
So
sure.
the one thing that I mentioned in my video is I'm sure there's going to be people that are going to say, oh, you know, I have to sleeve the cards as I play, which
Yeah.
is ridiculous. What we ended up doing, and I don't know if this is something you did or not, what we ended up doing with our sleeves is we ended up just, because like you have like, you know, 8 of each card or whatever, we
Yeah.
sleeved half of them with the demonic side and half of them
So
with the
you
divine side. And then
Yeah.
and then you just so they're already free sleeved. And then in a few rare instances, you had a situation where somebody wanted to buy a card that no longer had a divine or demonic, and then you had to. But in all honesty, I mean, it sounds like you're like, oh, I have to like change out the sleeves. But even if you use, there's a demon called a transmogrifier that allows you to, or a minion, I should say, not demon, because there's also a divine and a demonic one. That allows you to switch up to like 3 cards that to reverse them and stuff like that. And
All
you
right.
can. What we did is we just traded them out. We just said, okay, well, I'm going to trade this guy, and I'm going to take a divine one instead, and so on and so forth. And so, like, if there's anybody out there thinking, oh, I think that's going to be annoying, have to sleeve or re-sleeve it, you really don't. It's not something that we ever had a problem with. So, go ahead,
Yeah,
Andreas.
yeah,
Sorry, I had to talk over you.
Oh.
Yeah. This was actually, and then I will shut up and let Travis introduce himself. The last thing I wanted to say is this was the catch. The only catch we had was us thinking people wouldn't buy into the whole sleeving thing, and everybody would be saying like, "Yeah, sleeve my ass" or something like that. Sorry for the profanity here, but yeah.
But don't worry
But
about it.
I don't think it's really a problem, and there's a way you can do it like Lance suggested, and you can do it like I do it, like sleeve and unsleeve every time, and yeah, some people may love it, some people may hate it. It's always like that.
People will complain about anything, but
Yeah,
I
sure,
don't think it's going to be
sure.
too much of a hassle for the vast majority
That
of us.
has to be
It doesn't sound like people at all.
Which internet are you on? I want to join yours.
No. All right. Well, it looks like Travis Chance joined us. I just reached out to him because he reached out to me, and I said, "Hey, if you're bored, you can log in." And
I have no idea what's happening right now. I feel
this
like
is just
I'm
my.
the guy in Memento. Like I'm looking at my tattoos, trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
Oh no, this is just our weekly get together, if you will. And so, Travis, what you been up to, man? And I actually got a phone call, so I'm gonna mute myself and talk amongst yourselves.
Well, we've got a bunch of new games. It's really funny that you are talking about this because today I was talking with my design partner about that Dominion is one of the only real deck building games because things like Ascension and all, you know, they're more like deck accumulation games than they are deck building games. I guess you could argue that's semantic, but and strangely, I was talking a couple of weeks ago to my partner. Wouldn't it be cool if like we made a deck building game where you had to like pick a side, light or dark? And then as you played the game, the cards did different things. So I guess that's out the window now.
Well, you don't even have to go
Sorry
through.
about that, man. Sorry about that.
It's good to know. I'm glad we got out in front of this. So,
All right.
but in terms of what's going on with me, my little company, we've got 3 new games. They're all ready to go. We're just in the final stages of prepping them for various Kickstarter projects, and they're all pretty different. They're all like small boxy games, and we're working with our first outside person as a designer, which is interesting because we've thus far, you know, we've only done things that we've designed, so that's pretty cool. We have an interesting situation where we're working one of the projects that we're really excited about, the one that's actually the most done, Sorry, someone's bothering me. I'm getting off the computer. We have this girl. I'm friends with this girl named Tara McPherson in New York. Back when I used to live in New York City, and she's this pretty well-known artist. She kind of does it all. Like the first comic book she did, she won an Eisner. She has toys. She's worked with all these really cool people. And Matt Groening, the guy that made The Simpsons, and Danzig, of all people, if you know who Danzig is, stood in line for an hour and a half just to talk to her for a second. She got offered to redesign all the Sesame Street characters. Anyway, she's this friend of mine, and her art is really fantastic, and we wanted to work with her to build a game around her art. So she has these characters, but she doesn't really have an IP, So, and she's making these extremely sanctimonious demands. And we're trying to work with her on this, but we've had to hire a lawyer in order to get the agreement, because the agreement is very odd. It's like we're hiring her for some of her pre-existing characters. I've written a story because her characters don't really exist in any sort of context, and she's creating characters for the game, so it's like this very strange legal nebulous vortex that we're in, and we've been going back and forth. So this is something we were hoping to actually get starting on like 2 months ago, and we're still trying to draft legal documents. So this is a new territory for us. Have any of you guys encountered any of this stuff before? Brad?
I mean, we've licensed IPs before, but I mean, honestly, my advice is whenever the red tape starts to roll out, I just run away. I don't want to deal with that. So, if you run into people and they just kind of don't have it together to do what you need to do, then you got things to do. We can't sit around and wait on this thing. There's other IPs that can slot their art into this game. So, but it sounds like you're really excited about this specific artist. So I think it's something you got to decide for yourself. My experience is that it doesn't tend to end well. It tends to just, it'll take so long that the idea, the flame will burn out. And then if you finally do get it all resolved, you spend a bunch of money on it and you spend a bunch of time on it, and it's just not exciting anymore. So I don't know. I mean, it's something you'll have to.
She's a friend. So she's a friend, and maybe I shouldn't say sanctimonious demands. Like, she would like for the game to be manufactured in the United States. She would like the game to be $20. She would like the game to have all these interesting bits that are, when manufactured in the U.S., are going to cost an arm and a leg.
Well, is she paying for all this stuff? Because that's the person who gets to decide.
First of all, is this talk? Is this like posted somewhere later on or something?
Yeah, this is all live, so maybe we shouldn't say too many specifics.
Yeah, no, she's fantastic, and I'm not just saying that to backpedal here, but so she doesn't work in. Would be her first experience making a game, so I think a big part of this comes with
I am in a similar situation here, if I may interrupt real quick.
Sure, please.
Yeah, so I was confronted with a bold proposal a few months ago with Robert Modelsky asking me, I've got these 35 to 40 artworks, and can you build a game around this? Like this. And this is how this Dreams of Dystopia, which is now on Kickstarter, actually got started. And we had the art first, and then came the game. And good thing was he had everything together already. And that's so I'm kind of in a similar situation. I'm working with a person who has never done a game before, and he just trusts me on my work as much as I trust him on his work, which he will be providing. And he's put a ton of money into it, and I've put a ton of money into it for our standards, which are very low. I mean, for the Kickstarter promotion and stuff like that. And so
well,
I won't say anything
the right way, because she definitely she's one of these just people that she's so good at what she does that she's done it for so long now that she's established, so she can kind of, she's, I don't know if you want to say she's like, it's not mixed media because that's not her art, but she's like multi-platform. So her doing this with us is obviously great for us, and it's interesting for her because it's another thing for her fans to appreciate, and it's also would be an opportunity perhaps to bring some people in who maybe aren't playing these kind of games that actually would play these games. So there's like there's more than one impetus behind this.
Mm-hmm.
I've known her. I met her right when I first moved to New York, and she's just like just such a cool person. I used to run this bar, and she lived across the street, and she would come over and she would hang out with me when I would close most nights. And she's just her kid's name is Ronan. She's just like this cool, just this human oddity.
I mean,
has an awesome
like you
life.
really want to do it. So I mean, I think if you both really want to do it, you'll make it work.
Well, I mean, the timeline, like, obviously, we would like to get this going, but we have two other projects, too. So we have, like, the game that we're working on with the outside designer, and then we also have a game that Nick and I designed. So we have other,
and
fires in the eye.
Is this your full-time project, too, to make games and... the bills of the rent.
I make about $6 an hour after I give my wife money for bills. I make about $3 an hour. So yeah, Nick and I both. Nick recently he took a leave of absence initially from his job, and I the whole backstory for me. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to hog the conversation here, guys. So you can tell me to shut up at any point in time. I lived in New York City. I had a very good job. I saved up a lot of money so that I could do this. My wife and I had an apartment in New York. Not Williamsburg, but nice. I did live in Williamsburg at one point. So I sort of like staged my life over 3 years to set up to do this. I had someone else publish a game of mine. It didn't do too well, and then we did Heroes Wanted. Heroes Wanted did pretty well. And now Nick and I we're trying to make a run at this. So it's one of those things where like we were going to plateau really quickly if we, just doing one game a year, and we didn't want to just be the Heroes Wanted guys. So we're trying to work on other projects, and we're trying to do the small box games, which we have no experience with. I don't know, you look at things like the Tiny Epic games, and does anyone have any feelings on this weird, quick aside, this weird thing now where people they say, like the game is $15 plus $3 shipping in the U.S. It's like before where the shipping was factored into the cost up front. Now it seems to be sort of.
I think it's good because it lets backers understand where those costs are going. I mean, because when we say a game is $50, and people, it costs like $15 to ship. That's a real number, and it's real money that's being paid out of our pocket. We'd have to make a tier 65 otherwise, and people would say, well, your MSRP is 50. Why am I paying 65 for this game? So I think that more people are understanding better how all these costs come together when we have that separation of shipping.
So you view it as a form of transparency. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it depends on who you end up talking to, because some people want that cost to be built in and don't want to see how much the shipping costs, and others do want to see it. I really could give a crap because I understand that you've got to pay to ship those. It's going to be a portion of the game. But some people just want to see that $50 and that's it, and that's all they want to pay. If they see an extra $2, they start flipping out, and I don't understand why.
I think it's an unfortunate side from Kickstarter when it started up that some of the early projects did it, and so it became the expected thing that it was automatically included, and made it harder for anybody else trying to market without it.
Well, they didn't allow you to make a separate cost back then. Like you had to build it into your tiers back then, and they didn't even let you do a separate number for international. You just had to tell people, hey, if you're international, it's more money, and hope that they got it right, because if they didn't, they would still be expecting their game at the end of the day and having only paid a U.S. price. But back to the thing about the artist, since it's a full-time job for you, I think you just kind of have to consider the realities of the business. Like I have a lot of projects that I'm really excited to do, and if those projects are going to take too long, or if they're going to incur too much cost, or if they're just not feasible for the business side of things, then sometimes we have to pass, or we have to backburner it until it's reasonable again. So I approach it as somebody who's got to pay the bills, and that's usually makes things pretty clear cut.
Yeah, I think I feel like the project is worth the wait, because she does have a very large fan base. She has like a fanatical fan base too.
Yeah.
So And it
as
seems
long as
really,
you don't like need to do it now, as long as you can live with it and live with the waiting, and you've got other things to do.
this is all just new terrain for us. I mean,
Yeah.
we put up a Kickstarter on a game. We thought we were going to make like 60 grand on Heroes Wanted, and we made more than double that. And then the game did well initially. I mean, it's still doing well. It still does okay. But so a lot of this stuff, like and we know how to tailor for that crowd. Like our last Kickstarter was really strange. Like the sort of expected metrics for a Kickstarter we didn't really abide by. We ended up making like almost 84 grand, and we made 45,000 of that in the first day, and then like we just sort of trickled for the rest. And you have that really big, the first 3 days. It was like the first day was crazy. Then the next few days were At the end was not big at all. So obviously we managed to almost double that first day push. But as guys that are still relatively new to this, it's an interesting thing because our expectations were not that at all. We assumed we would make generally what we made. We didn't assume that we would make it in one lump sum, which led us to believe, hey, maybe we could have the Kickstarters be shorter. Maybe 30x days wasn't the right amount of time. We should be doing 3 weeks or something like that. So, I mean, we're excited. We're obviously nervous. We're nervous, but mostly we're very excited. The games we've been testing the crap. I mean, we're talking like 6 to 12 hours a day just putting together play groups and just playing the crap out of these games. And we're to that point where one card is a 3 and we change it to a 2, and we're cleaning up verbiage and things like that. So the games are ready. It's just we're in the process now of putting all the Kickstarter crap together and getting artwork and things like that. It's the first game we've worked on too that has had multiple artists on one of the projects, which we've only worked with one artist so far. So it's interesting working with different people.
Well, I should make a quick side because it's like 9 o'clock and my wife's back, so I should probably sign off and and spend some family time. So I think I'm gonna jump out on you, Lance.
He's still yapping around.
He's still in his other call.
So I'm sure Lance would like to say thank you very much for joining us and sharing your.
Yeah, it was nice to see you.
Well, it's good to chat with all of you guys as well, and thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun, and Andreas and Travis, I'll look forward to your successes on Kickstarter, and Robin, I'm looking forward to a copy of Baker Street pretty soon.
Good luck with your launch, Brad.
All right. You'll have a great night. Thanks a bunch. And check out my project on Friday. Woo!
Friday, we'll look at it. I'll tweet it out there for you. So.
All right, thanks.
All 600 people might see it.
Well, take care and have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye. Good.
So, Travis, you said you were working on a couple of projects, and you mentioned this one. And what were the other ones you had in the pipeline? The theme of those?
So one of them is the outside design. Originally, it's actually up on BGG now, and it's just a guy. He made a game through Game Crafter, and I played this game a couple of years ago, and I liked it. And it's very much. It's almost my best way to describe it would be it's hey, that's my fish with cards. So and the cards are like movement programming essentially. So when you leave the card, you pick that card up, and now that card is in your hand, and you can use that to move, and you're trying to continue to move as the board diminishes. So his original idea was that it was like a deck builder, but it didn't really work as a deck builder because it seemed like you were just shuffling 3 or 4 cards because your deck was only at the end of the game maybe like 10-ish cards. So we suggested to just eliminate that. The theme didn't really work either. The original name of the game was Den of Thieves, so it was like this sort of Tales of Arabian Nights. The flying carpet made sense and the scimitar made sense, but the rest of the card, there's like a camel, and there was a card called Turban, which I had no clue how the turban mystically allowed you to move about the board. But so we since took the game, and now we're calling the game Ninja Camp. So the idea is like you're these sort of reject, sort of like the silly animals. Like in martial arts, there's like these established animals like tiger style and monkey style and cobra. So now it's like you're these animals that are going to this ninja camp. so that you can graduate into having a fighting style named after you. You know, so like armadillo style or manatee style or something ridiculous like that. So we took his idea of this, hey, that's my fish with these cards, and quite frankly, like 99% of the cards remain completely unscathed beyond slight point adjustments. And then we added in the idea of unique player power. So you play an animal clan. You know, you're the armadillo clan, and you have a once per game ability. The game plays in about 15 minutes. The interesting thing about it that we've had to overcome in development is when you lay the cards out, it's a like if you're playing 3 or 4 players, it's a 7x8 grid. So, and the first thing every person without fail is like, oh my god, what the hell have I gotten myself into? Because it's so many cards, and the footprint's pretty big too. We've since made the cards square, and that's helped a little bit with the footprint. But the game plays really quick. You know, you only have to learn 8 cards. One of which doesn't do anything. It's just like a negative status card you don't want to end your turn on. So that game is the one that we're going to do. It's the second game of these small box games we're going to launch. So we expect about in July. Really fun game. It's a really, really good game. It's just very simple, you know. An interesting re-implementation of that idea of, hey, that's my fish. The other game we have, the one that I'm really excited about, is called, we wanted to call it Scoundrels, and then a game went up on Kickstarter called Scoundrels that had no BGG page, just out of nowhere. So we've had to since kind of, I hope none of you are the designer of that for some reason.
Maybe I
am. That you, Robin, are you the Scoundrels?
No.
Barry?
No.
Okay, well, so have you guys ever seen the movie Dirty Rotten Scoundrels?
Yes.
The Steve Martin, Michael Caine movie. So I have, my design partner is a genius, and every time you play a game, he wins. Like, he's former Magic Pro Tour player. That game Versus, he won like 50 grand. He used to play poker professionally, and it's just like you play with the guy and he's like 38 moves ahead of you, and it's really irritating because not only is he smart, he's very lucky, so it's like the double threat. I made a joke a long time ago, I'm going to design a game where second place wins, that way you can never win. So that's where this idea came from. So the idea is that you're these con men that have moved in on a mark, and you've all agreed you're going to rob this poor guy or girl blind. And so everybody has a hand of cards. It's simultaneous action reveal, and you essentially, there's a row of loot, and you're stealing the loot and you're manipulating the loot. You can only have so much loot in front of you. The loot is worth points, but all of the loot has 2 values. There's a monetary value, and then there's a thing called a suspicion value. At the end of the game, whenever there's a constable that's shuffled into the bottom 10 cards, when the constable arrives, you first count the suspicion. Whoever has the most suspicion is eliminated. So it's this interesting, you're trying to steal things, and you know, obviously most of the suspicion is tied to cards that have higher point values. So you have to kind of figure out and manipulate what you think your score is while trying to track other people's score, which is easy to do because you can only have 3 cards in front of you, and then you do what you call stashing, which is you put the card face down and then no one can mess with it. So everyone's got the same 5 cards in their hand, and the cards are better or worse depending on if other people play them. So, for example, the action steal, which is like the most basic action, is if you're the only person that plays steal, you get to steal 2 of the things from the row. If other people play steal, you only get to steal 1 of the things from the row. Whereas you have a card called Scheme, which you play a character in the game. So, you know, and they all have like ridiculous names. This is all like 1920s, 30s, 40s, like Art Deco era. So, you know, maybe you're Dr. Cornelius Pfeffercorn, or you're Mr. Ming, or you're the butler Butterfield, and they all have unique abilities that tie. So it's almost kind of like Heroes Wanted, where you play a card and then it lets you use your special ability. But that card is actually better if other people play it, because then you get to stash loot when you do it. So you want to kind of conspire with other players. So we've been testing that one the most aggressively, and yeah, it's a fun game. It's got a little bit of a take that element to it, not too hard, because Nick and I are definitely more in the Eurogamer wheelhouse. So those are pretty much the two projects we're working on. I'm gonna stop talking because I feel like I've been talking for 5 hours now.
When do you get that one? When's that one going on Kickstarter?
Right now we're sourcing the artwork. We're hoping to put that up at the end of May. Definitely it'll be ready by June. We're working with some new artists on this, so it's a little bit of it's a little different. We're working with 2 artists, and we actually the graphic designer we had worked with for Heroes Wanted has since moved on to do other things. So we went back to the guy that did the graphic design for my first game, Infamy, and he lives in New York City, so we don't have the convenience of working with a guy that's in front of us, and he has a full-time job. So it's a little slower than what we would like, but we're still getting results. And the game is essentially cards. It's cards and tokens. All of these games are going to be like $20-ish price point. So that one should go up in June at the latest, the first 2 weeks of June, and then we want the Ninja Camp game to go up in, I'd say, about a month later.
Jarvis, if you ever need some quality pixel art, sprites, I'm your guy for that.
Pixel art?
Pixel art, sprites, like Super Nintendo or Nintendo graphics, like that, stuff like that. You should really check it out. I'm making a ton of money with this at the moment. This is funding my games, actually.
Look at him brag. Look at him brag. What did I miss?
Yeah.
I apologize. I was on an extended phone call, but
No, for sure, for real. The retro style games are the in thing in the apps scene or whatever. So I'm just saying, if anybody needs some pixel art, I am a pro at that.
Do you guys know who Jackie? I believe her name is Jackie Davis. She did like the cover for Euphoria. She did art for Ben from Floodgate's new game. What was it called? Vault Wars. So we've asked her to do the Ninja Camp art, and then we have this really talented girl named Catherine Steele.
All right.
We have 2 on the which we're calling the game Scoundrel Society now because we can't settle on a name. We have 2 Catherines, which is interesting to have 2 people with the same name working on the same project. That creates. Thank God they have one's a K and one's a C, or it would be even more confusing. But yeah, pixel art. If anything comes up, you're the guy I'll come to.
Hey, you can check it out. I'll have the. You can check it out on my portfolio website. I'll type it up in the chat room.
Well, I'm still trying to hold back the tears from the fact that you're making a deck building game that sounds like the one I literally this afternoon was talking to my partner. I was like, we got to do this. Deck building is like, I love the thing about deck building is it's like a language. It's like a meta language. You can sit down and you go, hey, let's play. You want to play this game? What is it? It's a deck builder and it's this game with this one twist. But that's cool. I'm glad that you're doing that. That sounds neat. I wish I would have been around for more of the conversation.
apparently Andreas got muted somehow. I have no idea. But anyway, hey Travis, if you are in the looking for good stick figure art, I'm your guy. Just
I was hoping you would say nude. I was hoping you would say nude.
And if you want somebody that can't even draw a stick figure, that's me.
I was going to make a game called Unclothed Viking. I was hoping you would be the character study.
Oh God.
You want to sell negative copies of games, apparently.
I don't know, man. There's everybody loves someone somewhere, you know. So I'm sure there's like a crowd. There's probably a website just like beardedgamerdudes.net that we could.
Lance, your wife would buy like 2,500 copies of that.
She gets the sandwiches for free. She doesn't need to buy any bread. So. Somebody explain to Andres how to unmute. Who muted him? Did he mute himself by accident?
I didn't mute him.
His shameless pixel art. I just hacked into the CIA mainframe and I muted him. I didn't want this pixel art thing to happen. I don't know what's going on.
What the heck?
Tell him to log out and come back.
Well, he can hear us. I'm sure. Sorry, Andreas, I have no idea. Can you disconnect and come right back on, man? I apologize. Cool, he will.
So is there a general topic for today? I mean, like, seriously, you just kind of dropped me into the middle of this, so...
No, this is just our get-together where we talk about whatever. Occasionally, our fans that are tuned in to watch live will ask questions, and so I check and see if anybody's asking questions there. No. Well, Paul asked if I was still on the phone. Yes, I was still on the phone. It was a buddy of mine. A buddy of mine who is coming up this weekend from Florida, actually, to my little gaming convention thing I do. He's running into some travel problems, and so he needed to ask me about that. That's why I was on the phone for as long as I was. So, not that you care or need to know, but there you go. Let me think here. Is there any controversy? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying I was enjoying Anthony doing the best Barry impression I've ever seen.
I'm gonna fill in for Rhiannon tonight.
Hello.
She swore she'd be logging in. Oh, hey, he's back.
Yeah, I'm
Awesome.
back, and I don't know what happened there.
I apologize. Maybe it was something on my end. I have no idea, but
No idea.
I don't like that I don't
Okay.
have, like, a cool name placard thing like most of you other guys.
Mine doesn't work. It's weird. I don't know what the deal is. Somebody said we should talk about Daredevil, but then Robin was like crying about we can't.
I
do any
watched
spoilers.
7 episodes of it today.
Oh man, how good is the hallway in the second episode?
It was very old boy. Very old boy.
Very old boy. That's what I said to my wife, and she was like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." I was like, "Well, never mind." But
Original old boy, not that Josh Brolin crap.
yeah, no. I mean, I liked the microwave. The microwave was it was literally like the moment it happened, both my wife and I went, "Whoa!" You know, just like it actually reacted to the TV screen. They're doing it justice. I think D'Onofrio is doing a very, very good job as Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin. I think he might be. He's kind of a one-note Kingpin. I mean, he's like, I either talk like I'm in a lot of pain and kind of whisper angry, or look like I'm about ready to cry whenever anybody asks me a question, or I lose my mind and then like snap and be hyper violent, and it's kind of like the two sides. But I mean, whatever. It's a comic book, so I'm not looking for super in-depth, multi-layered acting performances.
I enjoyed it. I just finished it last night, and it kept making me think of the Arrow through the whole thing, because between the two series, I've heard The City 500,000 times. This city.
Yeah.
This city.
The city. Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen. This city. Hell's Kitchen. Hell's
This
Kitchen.
city. Hell's Kitchen. Yeah, you got it.
This, it's good stuff. No, I think what this does more for me than anything is it gives me hope to believe that they will do a very good rendition of Alias and a very good rendition of Power Man and Iron Fist and the Defenders. And because Power Man Iron Fist was one of my absolute favorite comic books of all time, Heroes for Hire, and they had really, really good writing. The writers they had for it it was kind of like their first try, and they were really just trying really off the wall stuff, and they made a really, really good story for the two of them. Like, if you're unfamiliar with Power Man and Iron Fist, Luke Cage, the Power Man, he was like this guy. Basically, he was super strong, but what his bigger power was the fact that he just really couldn't get hurt. He had, like, his skin was just impenetrable. That was like on the level of like the Thing, but he didn't have rocks on him, and but he wasn't as strong as the Thing, but he was still pretty strong. Yeah.
May I interrupt real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
It's getting really, really late over here. I'm in Austria, It's like 5:30, and I think I'll take my leave for now.
Yeah.
As,
that's cool. That's cool.
the cat is going crazy. She wants her food around that time all day. And it was very nice to be with you guys. And thanks for listening to me. And
You want
yeah,
here?
Lance,
Go ahead and hey, give us 30 seconds or whatever, or a minute. Your pitch about Dreams of Dystopia. Talk about where can people find out more information about it, and where can they like maybe check out the rules and the art. Go ahead, go for it.
Of course. So, Dreams of Dystopia is the deck building game with a twist. You reduce the goal of the game is to reduce the opponent to 0 life points. And as I explained before, each card is double-sided. You can choose the demon or the demonic side, or choose something in between of that. It has some very standard deck-building mechanics combined with mechanics that are very combat-centered and have been compared to Magic the Gathering for some strange reason. And you can find more information about the game at www.dreamsofdystopia.com, and I'll type it in the chat box as well. And you can look up the Kickstarter presentation on Kickstarter, obviously. Just search for Dreams of Dystopia, and you'll find a ton of information on there. And also on the website, again, I'll just type it in the chat message window. And thank you all for paying attention and listening to me. And maybe see you sometime soon.
It was really nice to actually, talk to you. We've known each other for a few years now, and we've never actually, I've never heard your voice before. So it's kind of cool.
It's not as easy as you might think. I'm no native speaker.
Well, no, you speak much better English than I speak Austrian. So
yeah, of course.
There you go.
I just typed in the dreamsofdystopia.com link, and you will get the link to the Kickstarter page. And if you like what you see, please support. And by supporting, I mean spread it on your social media or anything you can do or want to do for us. Everything would be much appreciated. Okay, you guys. That's it.
Have a good night, my friend.
Take care.
I have to hit the sack now. The hay. Okay.
Good night.
All
no
right.
problem.
Bye, you guys. Bye.
Bye. Is it? Hey, Robin, is it true that he lives across the street from you?
This is what we've been told. I've got a terrible Daredevil confession to make. I was watching the second episode last night and I fell asleep through it.
Oh, really? Well, you're dead to me.
Great. But I have been watching Powers instead.
I've seen like 2 episodes of that, and I don't know. It's not as good as Daredevil. It's not bad, but it's not nearly as good as Daredevil. So
I wanted to hate on Daredevil just because I enjoy being a contrarian, but I sat down today to try to construct something on Facebook that was vague enough to make people think that I didn't like it, but I thought the show was so good that I didn't have the heart to do it. Kind of like when I said, my rant about how I didn't really enjoy Star Wars the other day that made you break up with me, Lance.
Well, I mean, it's just like you said it yourself. You were doing it just to be a jerk, Just
no. I was being sincere, but
no, you don't. You just want to get the cheap pop. You are the wrestler that comes out and says, it's like, I thought things were bad in Dallas, Texas. Boo! Just like you're that guy. Don't worry about it. You don't care what kind of.
I had a really good.
You don't care what kind of attention you get. It can be bad. It can be good. Just as long as you get some.
I had a friend in the '90s, and he got like this Star Wars mural tattoo on his back, and it was like, for some reason, the artist made like Yoda's head as big as the Death Star in the tattoo, and it was his whole back. And he lifts up his shirt, and he's like, "What do you think?" And I go, "A mistake it was." He was so mad.
You're a good friend.
I'm a ball buster, man. That's why I exist.
No, what was I saying about Daredevil?
Eddie Izzard in Powers is phenomenal.
Is this Powers from the comic book Powers?
Yeah, the Brian Michael Bendis joint.
Oh man, I really liked that series originally. I didn't follow there was a point in the comic where I stopped following it. I don't really even remember why, but I really liked the comic initially. The comic book around like the 5th or 6th
graphic novel, it went a little bit off the rails when it kind of went into the whole mythology part of the world. It was much better as a straight-up detective noir story than it was then. I mean, I don't know if who's read it or not, but I mean, Powers, basically the idea was, and if for those of you people listening and listen to this later, Powers, the artist's name was Oming, Oeming.
Like
I can't remember the guy's
Michael Oeming or something, right?
Michael Oeming, yeah, and Bendis wrote it. Brian Michael Bendis wrote it, and the premise of it was there was a detective team, woman and a dude, and the dude was a former superhero. But he had lost his powers, and so and so then he became a why not become a detective. And so, like, one of the very first cases that he has is that they're investigating the death of this superhero, this girl named Retro Girl was her name, and she's like had her throat slit or something, pretty barbaric actually, and so there's this like kind of convoluted, like they have no idea like why she was killed or how she could be killed, or because she was like her skin was bulletproof and all these things, and so they have to actually both investigate it, but also the superheroes are like don't want them messing around in the superhero world, and you have this detective that's kind of can bridge the gap, if you will, and so it was really good. I mean, and then they kind of expanded out from there. But then as it went on, they made a horrible decision, in my opinion, and they gave the girl of the detective, they gave her superpowers. They had her undergo some sort of like classic alters her DNA or whatever, like in a fight against a supervillain, and then she gained superpowers, and it just kind of went bad. And then there actually was this really weird storyline where the guy that the superhero that lost his powers was like this age-old warrior that was immortal, and there was another guy that was basically like his yang to his yin, and it was, I don't know, it just, like I said, it went off the rails, and I'm sure Bendis had a grand overarching storyline, but right around there I just stopped reading.
Well, it's been rebooted a number of times as well, because it went into the FBI story as well.
Oh yeah.
Anthony, are you wearing a mink coat right now? What's going on with you, man?
I'm filling in for Rhiannon.
Yeah,
wearing a shawl.
Rhiannon normally is on here, and she's. Are you on your like third bottle of wine by now? Are you? Complaining bitterly about people not respecting you, or
I don't know how she does this. I'm like sweating in like the 5 minutes I've had it on.
I remember that comic though. I liked that comic. That was a really good. That felt like that was a good time for comics. There was a lot of stuff. It was kind of like when Image stopped. It was like Image wasn't doing the Spawn bullshit that they had been doing, and it was.
Is Spawn even being published anymore? I'm just curious.
Yes. They're just on their 250.
I felt should just be executed in a field for almost destroying comic books in the 90s. Oh my god.
Who?
Don't you remember all those books, like the Rob Liefeld books, like Youngblood and
Youngblood? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Cyberforce,
and
like all these just like shit, and it was like every team was the same. There was a strong guy, there was a guy that was good with swords or either had claws. Then there was like just girls, like they were like whatever. Her power is she has lipstick. I don't care as long as there's a girl on the team. Oh my god, that was a dark time. That was like when all the comic books that were like foil embossed covers and crap. I remember when I went to Comic-Con, what's his name? Jose Quesada? Is that the guy at Marvel?
Yeah, Quesada.
Yeah, he was talking about how like that's when like Marvel was in like chapter 11 or chapter 10 or whatever. It was just like comic books was all about collecting these alternate covers, and it was more about this bad Rob Liefeld style artwork than it was about story. And then that era was when like writers were more important than artists. It felt like, or started to become more important again. And yeah, I that brings back fond memories.
Well, there was, and then Rob Liefeld, he has that the one classic picture of Captain America that's just absolutely stupid, and like if you've seen it,
feet. Have you ever seen the feet that he draw? He was the guy that made the X-Force cover where Cable's thumb was on the wrong. It was like his hand was, or like he had two right hands or something like this. It was like a cat foot for one hand.
But no, I mean, if you know that, like, there's, and it's been made fun of constantly. I'm sure if you just type in a Google search for Rob Liefeld Captain America, you will see the ridiculousness of, like, just it's well known, and people.
Well, like Todd McFarlane was actually really talented. Like Spawn wasn't a bad comic. It's just it no pun intended, spawned a bunch of these horrible spin-offs and just like convoluted extended Pantheon canon Spawn nonsense. It was a bad time for comic books, man. Whenever I think back to then, I always think of remember the X-Men comic? It was just called X-Men, and it was like Jim Lee did all the covers and they all lined up, and like people would brag about how they had all of them and they were worth so much money. Do you remember that?
No, I remember. Yeah, I mean, it was just like, well, then there was like the whole thing with like the death of Superman, and like they printed off 1 billion copies, and everybody thought if they, bought like 20 copies of these and then hid them somewhere, and they'd be worth money someday. And no, they won't.
You don't think they're going to be worth anything in the coming apocalypse? Like, you don't think you'll be able to? Like, there'll be like a desert marauder that's just wearing the Death of Superman comic book of armor, just like a plate mail of those, and like he tilts his body in such a way so that the hollow foil version blinds you, and he hits you with his nitro car.
See, that's actually a pretty good idea for a supervillain, actually. You to like put into a comic book world. That and he teams up with the guy that creates a battle suit of the old E.T. cartridges from Atari that he dug out of the landfill that they dumped. So nobody knows that. Nobody's catching that reference. Huh? Okay, great, no. Thanks. Back when the Atari 2600 was being made.
E.T.
The E.T. cartridge, you can just there's a pretty good documentary about it that just came out actually recently. You can find it on Netflix. But basically, the E.T. game, they rushed it out. They were trying to get it out.
Are you saying E.T. is in the extraterrestrial?
Yes. So they made a game for the Atari 2600 called E.T. and it was horrible. It was absolutely awful. Like, so when it first went on sale, it like everybody had pre-ordered it or whatever, and you were waiting for it. I don't think they even had pre-orders back then, but everybody bought it and it flew off the shelves. And then people got home and they played it and they realized just how bad the game was. It wasn't good. And so people stopped buying it, and people and all of a sudden, for like the first time ever, Atari had games actually.
Guess who's
I feel like I'm watching a review right now.
So anybody who's watching this later who doesn't know, Rhiannon logged in, muted Lance, and left again.
Well, that's nice of Rhiannon. But
so today it's weird. I feel like you're just touching, like, you brought up Daredevil. I watched Daredevil today. You brought up the deck building thing. I talked about that today. And incidentally, I made the comment, my daughter, who's almost 11 months old, is talking more, and she started saying good, but she says it like E.T., and it's like freaking, because she just goes, good, good, good. She just keeps saying the word good over and over again. It's horrifying. And I made the obvious E.T. comparison. That movie scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. I asked my mom, I was 4 years old when I saw it, and I asked my mom if he had cancer. I don't know how I knew what cancer was or why I thought E.T. had it, but my mother told me that I asked her if it was a little boy with cancer and not an alien. I didn't understand that he was an alien. Incidentally, my first memory of Halloween was wearing an E.T. costume that was terrible. It was like one of those tarp. It was like an E.T. mask and then like a tarp that had the E.T. logo on it. So it was like Elliot going in front of the moon, his silhouette. And I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, and this was one of the few times where my father vacillated and let my mom talked him into letting us have Halloween. So
why are you bringing up Tom Vassell? I don't understand what that has to do with anything.
He's paying me to do it. I've got to do it every few minutes. So my dad, so I'm wearing this. We go to the first house. This man jumps out of the bushes and scares the crap out of me, and my dad just beats this man up in his own yard. And that's my first Halloween memory, in this E.T. suit that was essentially a plastic bag with the E.T. logo with this horribly painted, it's like on the front it was painted, and if you touched it, it would chip and crack. Like, it was just horrifying. Maybe that got a little darker than I meant it to, but that's E.T. I feel like we were talking basically about the same thing, Lance.
No, it was, but that's okay. Long story short, the Atari 2600, basically they made 1 million copies of this game, and they were only able to sell like 90,000, and so then they ended up actually burying them all in a landfill out in the middle of frickin' nowhere, because they just had to get rid of them. So
people actually started returning them to the company. It was so bad.
So and so there's this really good documentary about, and it's about Atari, during when they were doing really well, and they talk about like kind of the heyday, and then the one guy talks about how nobody knows for sure if it actually, that stuff got dumped out there or not, but they go out there and they actually figure out where it is, and they dig it up, and spoiler alert, they actually find all these cartridges buried out in the middle of nowhere. So
that would be awesome for the future Marauders in this Mad Max world, right? Like, if they just that becomes the promised land. It's like then there's just structures built out of old ET cartridges. And then one day the guy with all the Superman, Death of Superman comics comes to invade and take it.
How good is the trailer for Mad Max?
Mad Max is one of my favorite things. It's weird because I don't really like the first Mad Max movie a ton. I love Road Warrior, and I like the first half of Thunderdome. I don't really like once the kids start the weird Peter Pan Lost Boys crap starts happening. I lose interest. But I like what's the guy's name? Tom Hardy?
Tina
I
Turner.
like him. Yeah, Tina Turner. He's hot.
Listen to me. Let me tell you something.
There's a lot of Thunderdome-based inside jokes between me and Nick, my design partner. We talk about it quite a bit.
I always liked the Master Blaster thing. I always liked that. So I mean, he was 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. I mean, just that whole weird process of bungee cords and chainsaws. It was
It was awesome. The first part of Thunderdome is great, but yeah, the kids really turns to shit.
The bad guy in that one, that had the weird doll faces and stuff like that. He was pretty cool. I remember
that guy is a singer. That guy is like a singer of like a Australian heavy rock / metal band. What's his name? God, he's a ridiculous name. I have to look it up now, but I don't have the motivation to do. But yeah, he's in some band. I can't remember the name of the band. But yeah, he was cool. What was his name? His name was Iron Bar in the movie. That was the character's name.
And then the cool thing is that the original bad dude Mad Max, the first movie, which is a really good movie. I mean, it's
good, but it doesn't feel as like apocalyptic as the other ones.
Well, it's because it was made in their backyard basically, and it was like technically before it went. It was before the world really truly went to crap, but the original bad guy from that one is the bad guy in the new one. He's just 35 years older. The guy that has the weird skull mask thing on and everything. So.
What do you think about Charlize Theron being in it though?
Yeah, she doesn't look like Charlize Theron, so I'm fine with it.
It could have been worse. Like, what if Anne Hathaway was in it? Miley Cyrus in Dark Fury.
You know what I want to see in this one, though? What I want to see with Charlize Theron? I want to see her running away from a giant tire and actually, like, peel off to the right or left instead of getting run over by it.
I mean, don't you kind of feel like the synopsis of Road Warrior? Like, I feel like it's believable that when they pitched the movie, this was like so Mad Max finds these people. Some stuff happens. They drive a bus 20 feet and it flips over, and then the movie ends. Like that's the culmination of everything that happens in the movie. They go through this long, protracted process. They drive this school bus like 20 feet and it flips over.
Well, I was wondering like what the whole point of this one was. And then the most recent trailer, it's just that guy, the big super evil guy, is mad because basically his women.
He hasn't done a movie since the first one.
No, he's mad because basically those are his slaves that for lack of a better term, and they escaped.
We call them fakirs now.
Fakirs. Yes, those are his fakirs, and he had to chase them down. Somebody actually asked us the question in chat, like, does anybody care one way or the other about have those cards being released?
I work at a shop, and we sold like 6 copies of the game because, well, on Tabletop Day, 2 people got promos. Which did any of you guys go to Tabletop Day?
Nope.
Not actually.
It was the most contentious, horrible. It was awful. It was like.
Well, here, let me stop you here. I'll tell you what mine was. Then you can tell me if yours was anything like it. So I went to the store. I got there late because my daughter had a dance recital at noon, and the thing started at noon. So then I drove there, because the owner and I are good friends, and he said, if I have room, I want you to demo some games, and hopefully I can push some product. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. And I got there, and the place was just effing packed. I mean, it was just like, because they had a weird Magic the Gathering get together for something, which is fine, whatever. I'm not making fun of Magic the Gathering players, but then there was like people all over the place, and they weren't even sitting down and playing games. They were just kind of hanging out, and everybody was just kind of, like doing nothing. And then we were sitting there, and then all of a sudden, like, Rich, the owner, came out, and he was just like, and I said, did you want me to demo something? He's like, I don't have any room. And I was like, yeah, I can see that. And he's just like, yeah. He's like, from what I understand is that the vast majority of these people are here because they're just trying to get promos, because the promos are going to be worth, like, tons of money on eBay later, like that, and that was like the big push for a lot of the people that were there. And I was just like, well, this is lame. And then a couple of my buddies said, I'm just gonna go back to my house and play games at my house. And I was like, yeah, let's just go there. And so we just left.
Basically, yeah. So I work at a little shop. Well, they're a chain. They have 4 stores there in extremely open-minded Indiana, called. They're called the Game Preserve. So I work there like a day a week. It's the least money I've ever made in my entire life, even whenever I was in high school. But I just work there because I'm famous. So we had Tabletop Day. No one laughed at that. That's horrible. So fuck you.
You might be the one person that ever says hello to me when I go in the store there. So,
that's so weird because I hear that all the time, and I feel like everyone I work with is so friendly. They're probably just being really nice because I'm so famous when I'm around.
Like Keith. That's what it is.
That's probably what it is.
So anyway,
money to spend.
I came in, and there were a lot of people there, and naturally the room smelled like gamer farts. It was just this horrible wall, like drifting fog of fat dudes that hadn't showered because they were so stoked to get the Felicia Day promo. And people were having fun. Someone had the audacity to set up Twilight Imperium in the back, which I thought was just awesome. And then I came in, I was like, what are you guys doing? Because there was like people were just, there's not a lot of room in the back of, like the gaming area of the Game Preserve sort of looks like you know the opening scene of Inglourious Bastards when they're like hiding under the floorboard. It's like that. Like it's just a small cramped area. They're back there playing, and these people have the audacity to be playing a three-player game of Twilight Imperium, which I thought was even more awesome. So everyone seems to be having fun, and then slowly as the day, I'm working the front. Slowly as the day is going on, you know, they're going to do the raffle and everything, and people are coming in. They're like, "What's going on with Tabletop Day? Have you guys given out promos yet?" And we're like, "No. If you want to be in it, we actually to get a ticket." For the raffle, that's how we did it, because the kit's like $120 or something. You have to buy a ticket, and then people are like, "That's nonsense." And then so all of a sudden, these three guys just roll into the store with like a douchebag tumbleweed behind them. You know, like come into the store, and this guy's like, "Did they give the Felicia Day promo away yet?" I'm like, "No." So they buy a ticket, and then we had this policy where if you bought one ticket, you could buy additional tickets for only $5. So of course this guy like bought enough that he would get, you know, the odds would be in his favor. So we had like 22 people or something in the back of the store. He of course, so a little girl gets the first draw, and she takes the Batman love letter. This random guy that looked like Steven Seagal that was horribly out of shape got the second pull, and he took the dead man draw, the game, which is what I figured. People would take the full games, the little micro games first. Then said person his friend pulled the ticket, and then he made a ka-ching noise and said, "I'm putting this shit on eBay right away," in front of everyone. And then after that was gone, or the second one went, then it was like a riot was on the horizon. Everyone was mad. One guy took a Five Tribes promo, and then his friend, he was like, "I'll give it to you." And then he was like, "Actually, this looks kind of cool." And then he went and bought the game because he won the promo, which is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. And then he was like, "Hey, I heard that, didn't this game have slaves in it?" And we're like, yeah. And he's like, "Are the slaves in this copy?" I'm like, "I think so." So then, like, he said that, and like 5 other people went and bought Five Tribes because they thought it was going to be the death of Superman comic thing going on, because it had the slaves, so they thought it was going to be this like limited collector's edition. 2 people bought the game because they got promos, to spite other people, I might add. So everything started off being this really fun, nice thing, and then it just became this horribly contentious, sad, depressed, people complaining in the front of the store. Yeah, I would just as soon never do it ever again, especially since the thing is just full of like dregs from, you know, 5 Gen Cons ago or whatever. And then there's like these coveted, why is there not equal things? Like, why is there not equal quantities of the desirable things? It's a rarity. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and eBay's full of the promo. I mean, I just looked it up, and I mean, it's all over the place. About $45 each.
Yeah, the Felicia Day one, right?
Yep.
Yeah, or the Will Wheaton one, the Five Tribes one. I mean, I would have liked to have gotten the promos because I actually
haven't seen the Five Tribes one.
Played them, you know. But what are you going to do?
They might be available later.
Who cares?
Oh yeah, that's just it. And the thing is, that's totally it too. It's definitely a who gives a shit kind of thing, because, pardon my language, but I mean, you know, it's just
like, a lot of people do.
The vast majority of those promos just, I mean, I don't know, they don't add anything to the game. They don't make them technically better in any way. I mean, I don't know. I understand it's one of those things where it's like, you know, everybody wants to make sure that they, you know, have you know, every little cool little possible thing that they could possibly have for their game, and make sure they have everything, but I don't know.
I feel sorry for Will Wheaton now. Felicia Day's promo's going for $50. His promo's going for $7. Buy it now. That's like BGG store prices.
Yeah.
It's also what game it's for.
Yeah.
That's true.
There was a Lance one for Dead of Winter. You could probably get at least $3 for it.
Now, if you got the Dead of Winter
I
tabletop,
don't have a Dead of Winter card. What are you talking about?
I said if you had one,
It could be called
it would go for
Topless
like
Viking.
3.
Oh, yeah.
the full Dead of Winter game with the tabletop edition, that's going for about $200.
Yeah. We had a similar thing on Kickstarter where like we made a Gen Con promo and then we let people know afterward, and like I thought someone was going to come and kill me and my family, so we ended up having to like backpedal. They're like, this is freaking bullshit. I backed this, now my game is incomplete. It's like, we're making this thing after the Kickstarter, man. You guys need to chill out. So we ended up having to have them sent and then boxed with the Kickstarter backer so that it didn't get mad. And a similar thing happened. We gave Tom Vassell, I have to bring him up, like I said, every couple of minutes. So we ended up giving Tom Vassell a promo for his, Robin, how dare you? Bitch. We had a similar thing happen. We gave Tom Vassell a promo for his Kickstarter, and people lost their minds. I mean, holy crap, over a card, like saying that we ripped them off and they're never backing another project from us again. It's like the whole point of it was to be supportive because, you know, he makes better videos than Lance. That's the whole point of supporting him. And so yeah, so there's just infinite backlash. You can't do anything with these things. I mean, basically making promos promos are interesting though, right? Because they allow you to add something new to a game maybe you've had for a while, maybe they've been the rules or something a little bit different. But I agree with what Blanket Back said earlier, that, you know, it depends on the game. Like, that's going to affect the value of it or not. I mean, there's a lot of games they just make chaff and people go scramble and go crazy and buy it because they're completionists or OCD or whatever. Do you guys like promos?
So the whole idea of a promo in the name, it promotes the game. And when you're creating this secondary market for the cards on eBay, it's often doing more damage to the game than, I mean, as you said, the backlash that you got for doing the cards for Gen Con and for Tom Vassell's would have or could potentially have harmed the future of the game more so than just making it available later. I mean, do the Kickstarter exclusive or whatever, but don't call it exclusive so that you can put it up for somebody to buy if they want to buy it for their game, if they want to be the completionist, so that they can buy it from the BGG store or wherever it is. Because that's going to do more in the long run for promoting your game than making it totally exclusive and excluding people from getting it if they want it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what the word exclusive means.
Well, I mean, like, look way back.
But promo means promotion.
Yeah,
no,
true.
But if it's an exclusive, it's one thing. If it's a promo, it's something different. There's two different things you're talking about, and everyone skews the line between the two, and that's where the problem is. That's why people lose their freaking minds because, oh, I can't go to Gen Con. Why you get it at Gen Con and I can't go, so I should be able to get it too? No, it's exclusive for people who are there. I can't go and buy stuff they do not sell here because it's exclusive in Poland or Germany or Oswego.
Well, look at this. Look at back in the day.
What were those three places?
Israel, Africa, Afghanistan.
Yeah, but you mentioned two places that were right like near each other, and then Oswego of all places.
The whole exclusivity thing is weird because, like, look way back when. I think what's weird is, like, a lot of things people just, it's proven that people just ultimately just don't care. I mean, it's just like they have that moment of anger, but they just get over it. They look at Taste.
That is not true at all.
Oh no, it is. Because look at Taste.
Run a Kickstarter, my friend.
Instead of talking over me, listen to me. So look at back when Taste Minstrel Games like swore that the backers would get eminent domain before anybody else did, and then they turned up and then they sold the games at Gen Con before they sent them out, and there was like this huge uproar about it, and everybody was like raising a big stink, and just like, oh, you have no honor and blah blah blah. Well, and they basically said, well, we understand why you're upset, but there was no way we were going to go to Gen Con and not have stuff to sell. And so, and then, hey, you know what? Taste Neutral Games is still here. You know, they had a very successful Kickstarter for the expansion to Eminent Domain. Eminent Domain still sells. You know, it's like people just give up on it. I mean, yeah, you're going to have holdouts. You're going to have people that's like, oh, I'll never buy another game by that company again. But the vast majority of people are just like, well, whatever. And they get over it because it's just not worth getting that upset.
We actually had the similar situation where the first run of Heroes Wanted, we had a tremendously negative experience. On top of we padded our campaign with months. We hit every like a typhoon avoidance weather and got stuck in customs and had to be X-rayed, and we got our games the day before Gen Con, and we had to make that call as to whether or not we were going to have games available, and we ultimately made that call, which was the right call because we sold 300 plus games, and that really helped us as a small company. And it's funny, the person that was that made the biggest uproar about this, said that we were disgusting. He was the first person the day the doors opened at the booth asking for Gen Con pickup. First person saying this is horrible, I can't believe you're doing this, how are you having these games at Gen Con at all, you should not be doing Gen Con pickup, I already paid for shipping, blah, 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 all these things. But,
and I feel bad because I really gave it to you that day, but I really did like the game. So thanks.
I want to complain because Lance has a card in the game, and I don't, and Robin doesn't, and Keith doesn't, and Barry doesn't. So we should all get cards.
I'm not even sure Barry is a person. He hasn't said one thing.
Barry's like full hookah tonight.
It's like, are they starting to make bearded mannequins now? What's going on with this guy?
All right, the next 10 minutes are all Barry. This is the Barry 10. So go, Barry.
Oh, gee, thanks. Well, no, I was going to ask you, running the Kickstarter, what is the point of having these exclusives as a designer or a Kickstarter, company? Why do you feel you need them? Is it PR? Is it something else? What?
That's an interesting. It's an interesting situation, right? Because the Kickstarter culture has become such a thing, and it is, and I don't want to be an a-hole here, but it's an extremely entitled culture, very entitled, and then on top of that, it's not just the Kickstarter culture; it's the internet culture of, well, I can buy this from Cool Stuff in a few months for and then they tell you how they'll buy it for under cost, which they won't, and then they fail to mention that they have to buy $100 worth of games. So, I mean, part of it definitely, like, you want to reward the backers and give the people an incentive to buy the game. I think that's especially true after a product is, like, for our expansion, we have a proven business model. If somebody wants, they could wait and they could buy it on Cool Stuff, or they could get it in their local shop. Or a guy like me, like, I work in a shop and I get a discount. Like, I could do this. I could make the same argument, I suppose. So you want to give people an impetus to back the project beyond loyalty, because the game is going to come out, especially once the game is already funded. So I think that's part of it. I mean, honestly, I like to make cards. Like, I really enjoy creating the cards, and what we do with a lot of our promos, they're like edge case kind of designs. So the more opportunities to create new content, I really enjoy. As a person who likes promotional content, I think I'm for that. My partner, I don't think he's really a big fan of it so much. I think if it was up to him, we would just not have a lot of content. Like on these new games I was talking about, there's not really, like, we're really tight on where we are on card sheets and things like that, so we won't have a lot of wiggle room to add extra cards. So these will mostly stretch goals on these new projects are just going to be practical upgrades, because in order for us to add another sheet, then we're talking about an extra money to the game, which increases cost, over thousands of units for shipping, etc. It's very small, but I don't know. Does that answer your question, Barry? Are you still there, buddy?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I'm here. Usually you can't get a word in edgewise with Lance. He's the voice of the channel, so to say. So I just watch. Yeah, but
no judgments. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know if the screen froze like an hour ago.
Go, Keith.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it right. It's the what? What?
This is the Barry 10. He has 7 minutes left.
But I'm going to talk about his topic.
No, tough. If
Okay.
Barry allows it, then yes.
I literally talked like 5.
What was that, Keith?
So, yeah, I think at this stage with Kickstarter, though, I think for someone to have, unless they're bringing something really unique to really draw somebody in, you have to dangle that carrot to give someone a reason to give you the money up front versus buying it from Cool Stuff in the end. And I mean, you look at Cool Mini or not, and they don't run $1 million campaigns because they're producing everything that you can go buy in the store later for 2/3 of MSRP. They're getting $1 million plus because they're putting stuff in there that you can't get if you don't get it right then. And that's unfortunately where a lot of the Kickstarter has gone at this point.
True, but does that damage their post-Kickstarter sales because people then can't get the Kickstarter exclusives?
Only for people like you and me, I think. I think your average person's not going to give a crap, and at this point they understand that. They know, they keep an eye on it, they watch it, and they know to go after that. But
we always said, we were very clear, we have never used the term Kickstarter exclusive except for on the new project. On the first project we said that these would be available, they will not be in retail. We put them on the BGG store because we do want people to have the opportunity to have the cards, and the cards are neat. You know, we want people to have the chance to get the cards. Robin, what was your question?
yeah, the difference is people don't read, and so they're assuming it's exclusive when they first see that.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you about a question about Heroes Wanted. I wanted to ask what the bigger achievement of Heroes Wanted was. Is it the quirk cards, or is it the combination of the two hero powers? What do people tend to like most in the game? Which of those two aspects?
The quirks are very polarizing. You know, one of the complaints about the quirks are, oh, my quirk is so much harder to do than someone else's. Well, we didn't want them to all have the same triggers or the same conditions because then that would make them boring, right? Then you would have the guy that sits around and he's texting and he's waiting for, you know, Joe to do his quirk, and he's like, oh, okay, I guess now I have to fart and spin in a circle or something because that's what my card says. I think the hero cards definitely are what make the game unique. I mean, I would like to think that the humor is the main appeal to the game. Like it's telling a. Is Lance? Is he still muted?
Nah, I was fucking with you, Lance. Stop pouting.
Barry still has 4 minutes left of his 10. I'm respecting it. Nobody else is.
I know, it's fine with me. All right, so we got a question from the audience. She says, if you enjoy creating the content, wouldn't you want lots of people to get a chance to enjoy it as well?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh man, I was hoping that was the actual answer.
No, absolutely not. I'm a capitalist. Well, of course, but you know there are limitations on some of these things too. Like, you know, when you get into what it takes to make a game, like I look at a lot of Kickstarter campaigns and I'm just blown away by the stuff that people are trying to pass off as a stretch goal. Now, for a card, we have to pay an artist, right? And then the first time we went out, we didn't really know so we were just we were in a free fall and we were doing everything we could to make it appear like we weren't really in our houses with our hair falling out because we didn't know what the hell was going on. And so, for example, you know, and this is kind of I'm veering a little bit here. Heroes Wanted, the base game weighs 4 pounds and 5 ounces. If it weighed 4 pounds, shipping would have been $20,000 cheaper total. That extra 5 ounces for all the extra crap we put in the box cost us a lot of money. So those cards and things like that, like there comes a time where we have to factor them in as an additional cost because they do actually go beyond the normal metric that you want when you're pricing out your game. Of course, I mean there are cards that don't make it into the game. There are things that we have to hold back. we would love to make it where the games have as many cards as possible. But at the same time, too, I mean, like, have any of you guys played the game? Like, there's so many friggin' heroes, you'll never play all of them. I mean, there's so many. Like, we've come to realize that, like, we don't even really want to have a lot of new, like, unless we're introducing a new hero type, just giving more heroes of the existing types are going to make it to the point where it's impossible to even see all of the cards, So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
the reason behind my initial question there was actually because, as I've just written in our private chat, that there are some of the quirks when we were looking through them afterwards, which certainly made us, when we were talking about it, say, well, we would never do that with our group. There's one of them, I can't remember exactly what it is, but we have to go and whisper something into somebody's ear or something like that.
The creepy one?
The creepy one, yeah, exactly. And that's like, okay, that's not going to work in our group. But after the game, when we were packing away, we did spend literally 30 minutes or whatever just laughing our asses off making these combinations of heroes. So for us, that was the part of the game that we got more enjoyment from.
Yeah, the Where Heroes Wanted started as a game was, I used to work in a comic book store, and one day my friends were there, and I said, let's all just write down words on scraps of paper, and let's put them in a hat and draw them out, and then you have to tell people your superhero and what you do. So, you'd pull Pork Lord, or that's where, like, giant, things like that, and it was hilarious. And it was also, the real funny part was when someone didn't get a funny name, like they got, like, a name that, hi, I'm Steel Person or something, or that name is not funny, or it would be embarrassing. So the whole point of the whole original idea of the game was this notion of these crappy superheroes and this sort of combination of silly words to make the game, or to drive the humor. And there is definitely, like, word conventions that we use. There's, like, a style guide to the types of words. For example, when we used to play that party game version, the original game version of it, people would always put the word manager in. I don't know why. That word is not funny. It's literally not funny with any other word. The more super specific you get, the less funny it is. So, I agree that I still do that myself. We'll sit there. My partner, his go-to every time is millionaire. He thinks millionaire is the funniest word. I think beef remains my favorite adjective in the game, with bikini a close second. I think bikini up to the stakes in the expansion.
And kudos for putting in the extra card for the giraffe.
Oh, did you? Well, Vassal got an extra card, so I have to bring him up every couple of minutes. We did the dice tower, so we made tower a card, and then we made the upper tower had, like, Ryan Metzler.
Yeah. That was the promo, right? That nobody can get unless they actually backed it on.
No, it's in the game. It's in the actual.
It's in the game. Okay.
Yeah. No way. We gave Tom Vassal a card of a villain called Dice, who's like this guy that has D6 for eyes and teeth. And it was funny whenever we sent him to him. He was like, "Oh, I thought you were going to send me the one of the Dice Tower guys, not this one with the guy with this horrifying face." But yeah, that joke wasn't that good. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the hero. What do you think, Lance? As our number one fan, what do you think?
I love it. I can't get enough. It is the best game possible.
I think.
Did you read that right?
Lance is one of the few people that picked up on one of the things, which was, so, like, my first game, Infamy, was like a repository for all of this science fiction crap that I love, like all my obsession with Philip K. Dick and Snow Crash. And so Heroes Wanted is like a repository for all of this comic book love that I have. Like, you really articulated that in a way that made me, because I feel like that's a part that goes kind of unappreciated, because people are like, oh, it's like the Tick, oh, it's like the Mystery Men, but there really is, like, a history of love for comics that is the inspiration for the game.
It was goofy. I mean, it went back to when I first got into comics, where when comic books weren't all dark and gritty and full of, multi-layered storylines that had, like, people wrestling with their inner demons. It was. I remember reading one of my favorite comic books to read back in the day. God, I'm not gonna be able to remember it. It was the futuristic, like it's not Justice League. It was all these teenagers. Like Superboy was in it, and a few I can't remember what it was. And they had all these weird people that had all these powers, like a matter eater lad. Like his entire power was he could just eat anything and it wouldn't hurt him, and that was his power. And so you had that guy fighting stuff alongside of Superboy, which of course has all the powers of Superman, but the comic book didn't really take itself seriously, if you will. I mean, it was like very light and very straightforward, and it had like that nice standardized. Oh well, it's like the superheroes want to defeat the supervillains, but they're still like they want to be like the best superhero ever, and they kind of work alone or kind of almost work in conflict with each other, and unless of course you have a team up episode, and of course in every team up comic at first they have to fight for like 2 pages because they don't know who they are or whatever. It's like, oh, I saw a guy wearing a mask and a cape and he was on the street, so he must have been a supervillain, and they think the same way, so I liked that aspect of it. I liked that it kind of went Silver Age comics, if you will.
Yeah. I think it's a sticking point with a lot of people, though. It's really interesting to me. Every once in a while, and it used to be that I would look at it every hour, but every once in a while, like once or every month or two, I'll look at like the comments and stuff on BGG, where like the people have left, and it seems like there's like a fair amount of comments about why isn't this game co-op? This makes no sense. Why are superheroes beating each other? Well, we actually take the time to explain why that is happening in the first literal sentence in the rule book or in the game description, but no one took the time to do that before they started trolling. But how did they not see like the Avengers? I mean, it's like all superheroes do is beat the shit out of each other. I mean, like the Avengers is literally them arguing in like the helicarrier for like 2 hours, and then they fight aliens for 20 minutes. They beat the crap out of each other more in the movie than they actually do bad guys. It's like Iron Man versus Captain America. All right, Iron Man and Captain America versus Thor. All right, Hulk's gonna body slam the Black Widow. So it's strange to me that people have this perception that superheroes don't beat each other up. All superhero games should be a cooperative experience. I don't know if it's because Sentinels, is such a popular game, but it doesn't. That's I don't know. To me, that's weird. It seems strange. I thought that we were capturing a more realistic aspect of comic books. The aspect that you just said, where like especially as these like sort of obscure superheroes, you're trying to make a name for yourself. You stumble on, you storm into the room, and then there's all these people wearing absurd costumes where you're just going to start punching people and hope it all sort of works itself out of you.
Well, I remember the old, I think I mentioned this, there's been a lot of superhero role-playing games, and one of the old classic ones was Villains and Vigilantes, and not the one that's kind of been hovering around in the last couple of years or whatever. I mean, I'm talking about this is back in like late 80s, early 90s. I still remember the opening adventure for Villains and Vigilantes that came with the base set was the fact that your superheroes are going to basically their version of the Avengers, and they're going to basically submit their resume, to join the superhero group, if you will. And of course they go in, and the superheroes have actually been defeated by the supervillain group or whatever, and so then the young heroes have to figure out how to save the old school, Batmans and Supermans, if you will. But I mean, it's just a tried and true storyline, that just doesn't really exist anymore. I mean,
well, don't we have Batman versus Superman on the horizon? Isn't that like a movie that's coming out soon?
I think that I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. A lot of people are just saying Ben Affleck is going to be horrible as Superman. I mean, he looks the part.
He's Batman, right?
He's going to be Batman.
Yeah.
Though.
Should they just can the project and make Aquaman versus Ben Affleck, and he just plays himself?
I mean, it's the pictures you've seen of Affleck as Batman. He looks the part. I mean, he looks like that grizzled, mid to late 40s Batman that if you follow the comics, you've kind of learned to like, and that's where they're going with this one. The Batmobile looks cool, but it's hard to make a Batmobile not look cool. I mean, so it's, I don't know. The proof will be in the pudding. I mean, it kind of bothers me a little that there's they've been filming for a while, and I think they're maybe even actually wrapping up filming, and we've seen no clips. We've seen no even teasers or anything. We haven't.
Would it be amazing if if Batman's outfit was just a modified Daredevil costume?
Just spray black.
They just glued, made the horns, elongated the horns.
Yeah, moved the horns back to the ears and then just went with it.
They spray painted over the DD, and they painted
just a sticker on top.
Yeah.
I mean, after Christopher Nolan did his thing with Batman, and he did it really well, obviously. I mean,
Not the last one.
Well, the last one I enjoyed too. I mean, it had flaws, but I mean, you find me a Christopher Nolan movie that doesn't have just major gaps of. Nolan has this. Everybody tries to give him all this credit for being such a genius when it comes to his movies, and for the most part, his ideas are great, and his work behind the camera is good too, but there's always going to be things that just don't make any sense, in his movies. They're just wait a minute, this wouldn't work this way. But I mean, he relies on that willing suspension of disbelief.
I really like him a lot. That movie Prestige is probably one of my favorites. I think
it's good. I mean, it is a very good movie.
Did you see Interstellar? I just watched that a couple of weeks ago, and by watching I mean cried for the last 30 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little heavy-handed with the family and the daddy-daughter thing.
Why does that happen? Why do they do that in Contact, where she sees the alien looks like her dad and he's talking to her at the end? There's some weird family importance of family tie-in.
Why does the first 10 minutes of Up make everybody cry? It's we're just ingrained chemically.
What's Up? Is that a Ben Affleck movie? I don't know.
No, Up, the movie about the balloons in the house, the cartoon.
It makes you cry to prove you have a soul.
No, I mean, it's just
someone who has a soul, Anthony. I got to be honest with you.
No, I mean, I remember when I took my daughter and my wife to Up when it came out, because I was like, okay, I want to see this. This is gonna be cool. And my daughter was 3 or 4 at the time, and I thought this looks cool. This looks interesting. And yeah, they open up with without a single word, they make the entire audience cry with the first 10 minutes of the movie with just a song, and that doesn't have any words. It's just instrumental, and they tell a story. And I mean, the only people that aren't crying are the kids because they don't understand it. But you watch a relationship from the very moment the relationship starts progressing until one of them dies, and it's the saddest 10 minutes of movie you'll ever watch in your entire life, and I can't watch it without bawling. There's 3 or 4 movies out there that if I watch a certain part of it, it's there's dust in the room. Up. Let me think.
Daredevil.
No. Field of Dreams. Just the Field of Dreams at the end. I mean, you don't have a heart if you don't. When he
Kevin Costner, it's like watching a friggin' mannequin. That guy doesn't emote at all.
Oh, you're an idiot. So you're just a hater, and you just want to be
so bad. He probably could have been in Star Wars.
No, when he finally gets to have a game of catch with his dad when he should have done it years ago. I mean, that's.
I haven't seen that movie since it originally came out. So
yeah, well, and plus maybe I actually love my dad and you probably don't. So
what are you talking about? My dad is willing to beat up a man in his own yard when I'm dressed as E.T. Clearly, I have a better relationship. My dad decided to forsake Jehovah, the one and only God, so that I could dress up as E.T. 1 year. So I have a better.
Somebody tell Joel Eddy to quit commenting and just get in here. But I don't know. To heck with him. No, Interstellar is. I'm a fan of long movies, but Interstellar, even I was like, there has to have been 30 minutes you could have cut from this movie. I mean, it was just like
I liked it.
It was
30 minutes in the end. I think
so
that's what it
long.
would have been.
Oh yeah, Marley and Me, great one there, Chris. That too. I mean, it's just like if you've ever owned a dog and you've ever loved a dog, when they finally when they have to put Marley down.
Don't you mean Mac and Me, that movie about the alien and the kid in the wheelchair?
No, Marley and Me. The thing about like basically the family. It's Owen Wilson too, and so you're just like, how could I give a crap about Owen Wilson? You know, but then like you actually have that moment he has with his dog, right? Because he's sick and he's in pain, and he knows what he has to do, you know, to for the dog. And oh man, I get choked up just thinking about it now. It's just, yeah, it's like somebody turned on a faucet.
I don't know what the saddest movie I've ever seen is. Now that you're saying that, I don't know if there's a movie that just utterly.
Lance, can you make it through the end of The Champ?
No, that is That is. That,
I think Champ and when Mickey dies in Rocky 3.
Oh of them my gosh!
Make me cry.
Oh,
Mick,
I want to know.
What wanted to, Mick.
I want to know what makes Barry cry.
Well, no, I mean, but when he tells Mick, because when he says, you know, Mick, did we win or whatever? Did I win? He's like, yeah, Mick, I won. You know, he lies to Mick about winning the fight, and oh god, yeah, that's rough. But yeah, the champ.
The champ is the worst.
Oh gosh, wake up, champ, wake up! Oh my god, I just think, you know, yeah, that's just it's movies like that just don't play fair. You know, I mean, it's just I don't. It makes me mad when they do that. You know.
Right. Lance, I'm going to tell you something. If you ever go to Disney with your wife, sneak into one of the stores and buy her the grape soda pin.
The grape soda pin? Oh, yeah, I know.
So I bought one for my wife, and she was like amazed that I even like thought to get her something like that.
Well, and how good is that? I mean, like, and then yeah. So like you have that moment, and then you have the entire movie, and then you have him, and he's sitting there, and he opens up that book again, and he's sitting in the chair, and you're just like, and then oh man, you know, it's like, thank you for the adventure. Now go have another one. It's just like, oh, it's just, it makes me glad. Another reason why I'm glad that I'm much older than my wife, because I will not have to deal with not having her, you know, because that would just, that'd be too rough. And then how about that scene in Up 2 when you see at they cut to the house, and the house is in the exact right spot, and it's there, you know. I mean, man, that's just a great movie. I don't care if it's animated or not. That was just a phenomenal movie.
Will you be offended with me if I agree with you, though I think it's a good movie?
No, you don't even know what it was. You were trying to make fun
I
of
was
it, so I'm
making another Ben Affleck joke, man. Just because you're not picking up what I'm throwing down doesn't mean I don't have a soul.
No, it's possible. No, what does make Barry cry? Besides, if somebody broke your Jameson, then you'd.
Like if your vape cigarette messed up.
No, I just go out buy regular cigarettes. But, I actually drink Tully more than Jameson, but
oh, okay.
Yeah, not much. My mother's funeral, you know, that's about it.
Well, we don't. I mean, geez, wow.
I'm Irish, old school. You know, we have a saying.
A chill fell over the room.
We have a say to my family when they ask us about how we're feeling. It's none of your business. Well.
All right, Anthony has to take off. Anthony, you have anything you want to pimp before you leave?
Yeah, I just happened to find a one-of-a-kind signed Oswego card, exclusive, that I will offer to the high bidder on eBay. Opening bid is $250.
What game is that for, Anthony?
I just made it up while I was sitting here. It says
No. It's a limited print run.
It's a one-of-one autographed.
Yeah,
like a chase card.
You're not using the right terminology right now to make, you know.
Good stuff.
Do you live in Oswego?
I don't even know where Oswego actually is.
No, I have a friend. I used to play in bands, and a guy that put out a record of ours was from there. I used to call. He owned a liquor store, and I used to always call him and ask if they had grappa. And every time he'd forget that it was me.
I always hear it mentioned by somebody, like, "Oh yeah, we had to drive through Oswego," and I'm like, I have no idea where the hell that is, but okay.
Near Poland and Germany, right?
I think it's in upstate New York.
Well, you remember earlier you said Poland. You guys, man, what's going on here?
We don't have our we really don't have our rudder tonight. We don't have Rhiannon here. So
I have a question for Keith.
Wait.
Yeah.
How much did it cost to have David Lynch film you right now? So scary. What is going on?
I'm just leaning back in my chair.
It's like a Twin Peaks outtake, and the way you have this shot set up.
Travis, there's times he actually disappears altogether and just you hear his voice.
Yeah, I can just sit back here and talk to you. So, disembodied head.
I'm going. Nobody say anything. Shh. 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 Good night.
Hey, is that Lance's puppet in the background?
No, that's not Lance's puppet in the background.
I see a
very
thing.
nice, very nice, Anthony. That was good.
Oh, Lance?
Yeah.
Tie Nietzsche the Mosvo.
Oh, thank you. We hadn't brought it up.
Good night.
Good night, Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony.
No.
Does anybody? We should probably wrap up. We've been going for 2.5 hours. The show was just completely off the rails tonight.
It's because
What do you mean tonight? So Brad gets on before we start the show, and he's like, "So how does this kind of work?" I said, "Well, we get on and we start talking until we stop talking, and there is no script or order to it."
Yeah, I try to let people, do their bit or whatever, but yeah, I don't know. Meh. Does anybody have anything they want to pimp that's coming up?
New Spinning Meeples video went up today, and we're looking for for community content. We're talking about deduction games this month, so deadline is next Tuesday for anybody wanting to come back with videos or anything like that. Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah.
Woo! What are you trying to do? Horn in on Rodney's table talk?
Nice. Mr. Reynolds, do you have anything going on besides making me feel bad about asking what made you cry?
Nah. No, not really. I did a sit down with Robin Monday. But that's about it.
Oh yeah. Robin apparently wandered off. That's fine.
Yeah, he's there.
My kids are just waking up, getting ready for school.
Oh, nice. Well, we should probably wrap up. Let me think. I don't know. I got a few. Gosh, I got several games that that people should check out. They can check my channel, but Siblings Trouble is one of the best kids storytelling games I've played ever. My daughter and I love playing that. It makes me upset that I have to send the game back. She's not really happy with me that she's not going to be able to play it. Let's see. And then, Dreams of Dystopia, but Andreas was already on. I got a video that's sitting in processing hell right now with YouTube called Champions of Horror, which is actually a really, really good adventure game. But once again, it's like sitting at 95%, and YouTube won't get off its butt and give me the last 5. So, What were we saying, Robin?
I was going to ask you about the siblings game. What kind of age group you think it's best for? Because your daughter's younger than my kids, and I was just wondering if maybe, given that it'll take a year to come out or what have you, if it'll be too young for them.
Well, she's 7, so the game itself is just so straightforward. But it's just everybody is encouraged to just kind of come up with their own thing, and it's like it's you're playing a Goonie basically. I mean, you're so when you're playing the game, it's like you're all like these like kids that find out about this like evil monster or this ghost or something that's in like the hill in the woods. And the parents won't believe you or whatever. And so like you go off and try to find out what the evil thing is that's living in the cave. And so as you like turn these cards over, it'll tell you about something you run into, and the person that turns the card over has to come up with a story about it. And then the card itself will say, because there's a game to it as well. It isn't just coming up with a story. There's a game. There's something you have to do. Like you have to roll a die and see if you succeed at certain things. And the thing about it is that you have to, like, the card will tell you, okay, well you ran into like an angry little gnome or something, but if you mention food and your reason why the gnome is angry, you'll get a bonus to how to defeat him. And so like the person's encouraged to come up with like some storyline. It's like, and they'll just off the cuff they'll have to say, oh, the gnome's angry because the troll that lives in the cave stole his sandwiches and he's looking for food or something. And so then you'll end up tying different storylines, like, remember that gnome we ran into? This was actually where he lived and things like that. And it's just fun to play with my daughter, because when we play it like as like, we play it as like a dad and daughter like investigating something, and so it's us, and so so she gets to kind of envision the whole thing as the two of us, and it's fun to watch kids' imagination, because they aren't kids don't have that weird social awkwardness that adults have when they just can't it's like dancing. Like adults have trouble really dancing and having fun, because somebody's going to see how I dance. They're going to make fun of me, But kids, yeah, there you go, Keith. But kids it just turns off for them, and it's just like, I took my daughter to a dance, the daddy-daughter butterfly ball dance this last weekend, and man, I mean, she didn't care. It didn't matter what the song was. I mean, she was jumping up and down and spinning and kicking or whatever, because she's a kid. She doesn't care what people think. And so when you play a game like a storytelling game, kids will just come up with whatever they want, and it makes complete sense to them, and they're not worried about giving an answer that might not be cool or might be goofy. And so it takes a while for grown-ups to get into storytelling games, because we're kind of used to the story being told to us. And we're also always convinced that if we say something that sounds silly or dumb, people are going to make fun of us. So I don't know, but I really I have played it with my gaming group, and once you get past that weird mentality of like somebody else at the table going to make fun of you for what you said, it really turns into kind of a fun game, and it can be an enjoyable experience. And it helps that I've known the guys I played my games with for like 30 years, but. I can see it definitely being one of those fun, very low-key games you play at a convention too. So, but definitely awesome kids game. I mean, after all, like you lose because you all have to go home, and you because your parents are looking for you, and so you have to go home and you can't get back, you can't leave, because you've been grounded. And that's kind of I like that aspect of it. It isn't because you get eaten by the troll,
It's interesting. I saw something for it, an ad, or either when I was on Kickstarter, but I felt like the name didn't evoke any sort of specific, like it didn't give me enough, the name didn't conjure up any idea of what the game was about, so I didn't take the time to look at it, but now I will.
Yeah, the idea is that it's the last name of the kids is Trouble, so they're the siblings Trouble. That's what, and so it's, and like I said, it's kind of based on that whole like weird.
I thought it was like you had you were like you played a kid and you had like an asshole brother or something.
Yeah, I got that impression too when I first heard about it, but then I read the rules and I was like, this is actually really cool, and I knew that my daughter would probably really like it. So
you like flip a card over and you're like, oh, your 15-year-old sister's pregnant again. You're like, like I thought it was that kind of a thing. I didn't.
No. Nothing at all like that, actually.
It's been tough for me to think about backing kids' games lately, because your kids grow so fast, and by the time the game actually comes out, they may have outgrown it already. And you have to watch that sweet spot.
You don't buy the game and use, like, I buy all these two-player games because I want to play them with my wife, You don't think that the same abides for buying kids games? Like I bought Rhino Hero recently, and I think that game's fun. Like
I bought that game for me, not for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I will.
You could have said you bought it for your kids.
No, but I don't. I mean, I don't give a crap. I'll buy a kid's game for myself. I don't care. It's just when I'm actually trying to buy one for the kids, I've got to watch that closely on Kickstarter, because by the time it drops.
I did it with Story Realms.
I'm praying.
Story Realms or whatever that's called.
Oh, Story Realm. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about there, bud.
Because I thought that'd be a great entry point RPG for the kids, and I mean now they're old enough that I can play D&D with them, and what have you. So.
I think my daughter's going to be like a cheerleader or something, I'm sure. So I'll continue to be alone in my family as a gamer.
Aww.
Oh my god, that scared the dickens out of me.
All right. Well, I think we're wrapping up. Unless somebody else has anything weird that they want to talk about before we go.
That's amazing.
Hey, Keith.
Yes.
You know those dancing flowers that you could get in the kind of early 90s where they danced to the sound, whenever there's sound? Maybe you should stick that onto one of those.
There we go.
And then every time Lance speaks, it'll...
This is the Lance seal of disapproval.
You just... That's fine. You know, that's fine. I have a long memory.
Hey, I wouldn't have made it if I didn't love you.
Aw.
Well, I guess if anyone... I don't know if there's any other Hoosiers... watching this, but we'll be at HoosierCon this weekend demoing our 3 new games, and we were, well, let me not say we, I was stupid and did not register us in time for the normal events, so they're sort of scrambling last minute to try to help us have something in the organized portion of the convention. But if you are an Indiana person, a Hoosier as we call ourselves, Mike Pence will be there signing autographs, and we will be demoing our 3 new games. Are you going, Keith? Are you going to HoosierCon?
No, I've never been to HoosierCon.
It's free. It was in this hotel that looked like if Wes Anderson filmed a horror movie. Like, it was the scariest place I've ever seen in my life. But they moved it this year. So yeah, if anyone's not doing anything this weekend, come out to HoosierCon.
I actually swung up to Greenwood last night and did a little, about 3 hours of gaming up there. So
I'm about ready to enter a massive game. My wife is having, in the morning, 3 surgeries on her nose, and my mother-in-law is in town, and my babysitter is on vacation for the next week and a half. So, and I'm already a stay-at-home dad. Like, I watch my daughter, and then we have a sitter come for like 4 hours a day. So I'm gonna be laying low, but we're gonna go out this Saturday for that. So hopefully we'll get to show the game to some people, and then, you know, Lance, I'll be sending you something here soon.
Please, don't make me wait any longer. I can't.
Don't worry, I'll be harassing you on every possible technological communication means to see progress is.
That's cool, man. Which are you sending me all 3, or which one are you sending me first?
Well, we're waiting on artwork. We'll probably send them to you one at a time, honestly.
Did you want me to do the stick figures for your art?
I'm really torn between that or the pixelated guys. I don't really know what I should do here.
Let's combine them both. Why not?
Ink blots, really easy.
Oh, ink blots. I like where we're going with this.
We actually, I don't want to get a whole giant conversation started, but we started working on a game that literally is just making fun of all. It's like the most abstracted. There's like no theme. So it's like you have a meeple, you have 1 cube, you have 1 disc. Like there's a card in the game everyone has, and it's just called card. So like it's just like sort of making fun of all of the components. So maybe you can. We were actually talking about having like a 5-year-old draw the artwork for it. So maybe you could be our 5-year-old.
Aw, thanks, buddy.
We should. You know what we should do? We should pluck some of your beard hair and include it as a promotional item in every backer, Kickstarter backer.
Nobody wants that.
No.
They could clone you. It would be amazing.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in and for jumping on and what have you. And for those of you who listened in, thank you very much for taking the time to listen. And for those of you who listened to this after the fact, thank you very much for that as well. So be sure to check out the Kickstarters of the people that we're on. Millennium Blades launches this Friday. Travis Chance, that you see you're going to have some coming up soon. Dreams of Dystopia is currently on Kickstarter, and it's about halfway to funding, I believe. And yeah, make sure you check out both Barry and Robin and their respective formats. So, thanks a lot. Have a good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.